And then I also had like it wasn't a scythe, but it was like a blade with like blood and brain bits and hair on the end of it. So like I could like shove that in people's faces and they'd be like, "Oh, what's that?" And it looked wet the whole time. It was great. I loved it.
Fantastic. All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Saturday is Scareactor Story Saturday. We're going to have fun. I got another guest with me. Let me just do my shameless self-promo at the beginning, too. Hi, everyone. I'm Charging Die. You can call me Noelle. You can call me Mama Wolf. Call me whatever you want. I might not respond to it, though. I tell Scareactor stories on TikTok, and I figured after a while I should talk to my friends who also scare so that we get a chance to talk scaring. We never do, but we love to, and this is our opportunity. So I have a special guest with me tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. Hi, my name's Kyle. I'm a scare actor. I have been for a few years now with Halloween Horror Nights. Actually started at Six Flags over Texas in Arlington, so we can get into that more
Yeah, absolutely.
later. But right now I'm in LA as a musician, a composer for film and television projects. I'm sure we'll have my links up, in the
They're
description
right underneath
somewhere.
him. Check him out on SoundCloud
Links.
and his website.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
course.
and but this is a cool opportunity just to talk about being like scaring people for money. Like, who does that? Psychos. We do that.
Yes.
So I'm excited to share my experiences. Yeah, and thanks again for having me. I'm
Thanks for being
stoked
here.
to be here. I'm thrilled.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be able to do this unless people talk to me. So thank you for being
Cheers.
here.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, I should have brought a drink. Damn it.
It's just water, I swear.
No, that's fine. I also need water. Where'd my water go? Sometimes
There's a bottle behind you. Is that not? Oh, I don't know.
it's empty. I worked out earlier and I just left it there.
Oh, look at you.
I know. I'm trying to get my life
But
together.
that's a part of it, though, right? You got to be in shape, like year round, because it's an endurance thing. It's cardio. Like you have to know how to breathe and like 3 layers of
Absolutely. Great
masks.
segue back to scare acting, trying to find water. But yeah, it's a lot of hard work being a scare actor. It's a lot of physical endurance, stamina, stretching, using muscles you don't normally use. So I like to try and work out a few months before the scare actor season just to make sure that I can breathe while moving.
Breathing is good.
Breathing's
I mean,
necessary.
usually good. Yeah.
So, what do you like to do to prepare for the scare season, if anything?
Yeah. So the first time I did it, it was Six Flags over Texas. I didn't do anything, and I could feel it, like, cause it's like, oh, I'm just gonna like just be creepy, and like I didn't know what it was, right? And it's also a different vibe there. But then I started doing Universal Horror Nights, and that's big time. That's like, okay, we got the mazes, we got the zones. You're on, you're off, you're on, you're off. Do that for 6 hours, and like, here's some snacks. Go pee. It's like, so
If
you really
you
have
can, there's a
you
whole
have to have
story that I tell where I
schedule there.
couldn't pee.
Oh my goodness, no! I
We'll
go
get
every
into
chance I can, even if I don't have to. But yeah, so physically, I try to, like I'll go for runs or like I'll lift weights a few times a week just to like be doing something. Like yoga for stretching is really good. But yeah, I think I need to get more into plyometrics because I found it's a lot of explosive like movements, which is a lot of like what scare acting is.
Oh.
Because like it's like static stretches and like okay, and then yoga and like that's all fine. But then scare acting is like bah, right? And it's super like fast and explosive. And if your muscles aren't used to moving that fast, if you're doing that for an hour, it's going to be really taxing. So definitely like cardio and plyometrics and endurance. I want to get more into that because before I've just kind of been stretching and like catching up on sleep and really trying to take care of myself.
Self-care. We promote self-care
Right.
in all of my streams. So
Absolutely.
drink
there you
water,
go.
get sleep, eat food. Friendly reminder.
Yeah, but this year, and I don't know what all the safety things. It's going to be different, but I want to be healthier and in better shape and catch up on sleep. And I slowly start to kind of adjust my sleep schedule to the Horror Nights schedule, kind of like a month before. So maybe like in August, I'll start like going to bed a bit later and like waking up later in the morning, so that by the time Horror Nights rolls around, I can wake up at noon and I can go to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m. and it's fine and it's still 8 hours. I'm just like shifted everything a few hours later than I normally would.
Does
So,
that
yeah.
affect your work with music in any way?
I'm fortunate right now where I get to basically be freelance and kind of do music on my own time. Like I'll get a pitch, but then they'll say like, okay, yeah, so next week deliver XYZ.
So you work with deadlines, but you can make your own hours. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So I've been fortunate enough during 2020 to basically be working from home a lot.
Fantastic.
That's kind of sustained me, and that's been exciting. You listen to my music at the links and stuff, but I'm doing library music and worked on some film projects that I can't talk about yet. But it's like I'm in that world, so that's exciting. But yeah, when Horror Nights rolls around, it's definitely a focus on like, okay, you have to know like what are you eating and when are you sleeping, and you can't do any social events, and like it definitely takes over your life for a couple months. So self-care is super important. I don't have access to a bathtub, but I really wish I did because bubble baths are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
And
get those bath bombs.
Exactly. I was living in an apartment 2019 for the last time I did Horror Nights. I keep thinking it's last year. Sorry, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, no, I say that too, and it's like, wait, no, the last time it was a thing, which was 2019.
Right. The last time I did scare acting, which was 2019. I could come home to an apartment that had a bathtub, and I would do like a lavender bath bomb from Lush or something, and it was divine. It was like at the end of a 4 or 5 day run, I'm just like, I'm dead. So like, it was relaxing, rejuvenating, light a candle, self-care. I mean, all that. Like, I tried to be as comfortable and as gentle on myself as possible when I wasn't scare acting, so that you can go really hard when you are, because it's a workout.
Within reason, within reason, everyone. If you're interested in scare acting, yes.
Right. If you can do P90X, I basically think that's like a good fitness test.
That's intense, but yes, absolutely.
Right. But if you can maintain that and just regularly in your everyday life, then you put on a mask and you put on 3 layers of clothing and you're in a little black box with limited mobility, then you should still have the similar amount of endurance when you're like reaching out at people or like screaming or grunting or however you scare someone. It's definitely good to have that physical baseline where that like, okay, I know I'm capable of like running a mile without breaking a sweat, so like this will be easy, right? Well, no, but because it's different and your body's not used to it, but hopefully your level of endurance will be up there. Does that make sense? Like,
yes, yes, absolutely.
I always shape anyway.
Yeah, I always tell people like scare acting, you're using muscles you don't normally use. So no matter how fit you are or how unfit you are, you're still gonna feel the fatigue, at least in the first couple weeks while your muscles are adjusting. I've gotten a question several times from people saying, oh, I'm not fit, can I still be a scare actor? Absolutely, you could be fit. Yes. You just need the endurance. You need to know how you move and what your limits are and be able to work with that. There's usually a fitness section to any audition. Not always, but be prepared for it. Like, can you do a plank for 30 seconds? Can you run a mile without dying? Like,
right.
It is a workout, and we typically scare actors will work out at least a little bit beforehand because we need to build that endurance back up. But if you've been working out throughout the year regularly enough, that's fine. What's it called? P90X? I've heard of that. That's intense, but yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like a home like DVD workout thing that
I have several friends who
it
used
doesn't
to
have
do
to be that. It
no,
just,
I just do YouTube dance workouts or whatever, and whatever gets you sweating, gets your heart pumping. Just get out there, because if you could do that on your own, that's great. Add a mask you could barely see or breathe in, and some costumes you could barely move in, and you got yourself an event.
Well, what's great now is that even the general public has experience wearing a mask all the time. So
yes, like, I talked to my parents about this. They were like not complaining about wearing a mask. They were more complaining about others not wearing masks. They were like, "What's the big deal? It's fine. You could breathe in it. It's a little hard to breathe in. Do you have trouble breathing in these kind of masks, Noelle?" And I go, "No, these are way easier than what I'm used to. I wear different kinds of masks all the time."
That's my
oh, cool.
Music mask a friend made for me.
Oh, that's cool. I actually have that same fabric that I made into a mask.
Oh, cool.
So I essentially have the same mask. I never wear it because I kind of wear it. It's a small world, but
and that's the thing. Like, this is easier to breathe in than like a Horror Nights mask,
because we're used to latex, like here covering everything except for
there's also like
hole.
Under Armour, like a hood, right? So there's also sometimes like you know, like when you go skiing and there's like a ski mask and it's like you put a hood on and all you can see is your eyes. And sometimes people push it down under their nose so they can breathe out their nose or something. But there's usually a piece of fabric on your mouth, and then you put like a latex or a foam rubber or something, a mask over that. So that's multiple layers of like stuff blocking airflow. And then you're doing an hour of cardio inside. If you're in a maze, you're in a constricted space with no airflow, and it can get warm because it could be like, you know, September, and it's like 80 degrees outside, which means it's warmer in the maze, and you're under 3 layers of clothing, and you have 2 layers of mask, and you're like, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. You know, it's a Monsters Inc. in a bunk bed.
I love the reference.
you just go. Well, I mean, that's what we do though. Like we are scaring people at different angles and different heights and body types.
We're working out constantly throughout our shift in several layers over our face, most likely. If you're lucky enough to just get makeup or prosthetics, great. But even then, you're like, oh god, so lucky. I wore a mask my first year at Halloween Horror Nights, and I think since then they're like, oh, she handled it great. Let's just keep giving her these kind of masks. I'm like, no, I mean, yes, but no, thank you. Can I just have a day where I have prosthetics or makeup and I can move my face? That'd be great. I would love to see
like a gash on my cheek. Can you just put like one piece and
just a little bit of blood on my, just right here. Just like a dribble on my mouth. That's it. That's all I want.
I do know some people, because there's like different roles, right? So victim roles, a lot of times they'll just have some blood splatter or whatever, because you see them for half a second, they pop out of a curtain, scream, and then they run back. It's like, oh,
this could be you. Go back.
Right. Yeah. Right, and that's literally it. But we were talking a bit about you know, like, do you have to be in shape? Do you have to be ripped or like a model or something? Absolutely not. There's people of all different body types and shapes and sizes and colors, and they want that too. They want that diversity and like the, you know, because like Frankenstein is usually going to be like a bigger monster, and then like little skeleton people are going to be a lot shorter because of the spaces that they build for them. So it doesn't really matter what size you are, as long as you know that you can like move in a certain way, or if you have a really great expressive face and you can like, you know, if you can do a victim role, like it doesn't matter how big you are, like they'll make it fit for you, like in that role. So
yeah, they'll cast you where they see you being, and like you said, the variety of different sizes and shapes and everything, we want that because that's scary. I get this comment a lot too, people saying, oh, I would, but I'm too tall, I'm like 6'2", and I'm like,
nope.
What are you talking about? We had an email back in like 2018, 2019 specifically requesting people to ask their friends who are over 6'2" to audition, because we had not enough.
One of my roommates at the time, he's like 6'2" or 6'3" or something, and he's like a big guy, like not I don't want to say fat like round, but just like big. He's just like a
big guy, and we love those kind of people.
Right. And they were casting big guys, and I'm like, hey, dude, you should send in like a picture or something. He's like, I don't know if I want to like do this. Like what is it? It's like, oh, you get dressed up in like a cool film ready costume and basically go out and scare people. And he's like, okay, I guess. So I'm like egging him on, like, dude, you're the right height and the right builds. Like we could carpool. Like I was getting super excited.
There's so many pros to this. Come on, just do this.
Right. It ultimately didn't work out. He had other stuff going on.
That's a shame.
But no, it is cool that they encourage us to like, you know, find people of different body types and like get our friends and family involved. Like it is a pretty tight-knit community, and we all help each other out that way.
That's probably my favorite thing about scare acting, is like there's so many different kinds of people that come together over this one interest, and a lot of them weren't even interested in this before and then become interested. So it's like you're creating this family, tight-knit family. We do have some comments. We have Carlos Valencia. Good to hear from you again, Kyle. How have you been? Good to see a fellow monster. Yeah. It's not the size of the wolf in the scare, it's the size of the scare in the wolf. I love that.
Nice.
Barracuda, he's well built, he's a unit. And then someone triggered Bean. I have this cute little werewolf stream pet that has different animations that you could trigger. So
that's funny. I'm actually wearing my Frankenstein meets the werewolf shirt. I don't know if you guys can see this on the
yeah. Oh, that's cool. Was that like for everyone in the maze?
That was just for the maze team.
Okay,
yeah, but it's the outline is the poster for the maze, but then we had someone in the maze, like in our team, design a shirt, and then we all, you know,
that's
got a
so
shirt,
cool.
So. Yeah, and that was 2019 last time I did it, so that's where I know Carlos.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. It's all coming together. So how did you get started in scare acting? If you were mainly focused on music, what turned you on to trying for scare acting?
Right. Well, I really liked theme parks just in general, because I like the spectacle and the entertainment vibe and everything there, roller coasters especially. Just that thrill of like, I don't know if this is safe, but it's going to be awesome, you know? And I think that attitude turned me on to scaring. I grew up in Texas, so in college, I think this was 2015, I was going to SMU, and I saw there was a flyer somewhere, I think, for scare actor auditions. It was Six Flags Fright Fest in Arlington. So I was going to college in Dallas, and there was an audition in Arlington, and I'm like, okay, I'll go try this. Very different experience than Universal, but it was my first time scare acting for money, not just like, you know, playing a prank on a friend or whatever. It was like, oh,
Or
I'm
like
gonna get dressed up
volunteering for hot, like, yeah, this is
Right,
the big,
right.
this is the big time.
this is like a theme park, and there's like regular paychecks, and there's like a makeup team
I'm
and a costume team.
I'm working. Oh, I'm a working scare actor now.
It's,
like,
yeah,
such
it's a
good
job,
feeling.
and there's a payroll. I'm like, oh, it's like a job. Okay, cool. Okay, people do this. I get it now. And that was just so fun. Like they do airbrush makeup. We didn't have masks. It was like different patterns and like fun spiky things. My first role, I'll tell you this. It was a like Mexican biker vampire gang type thing. It
Okay.
was really weird, a weird cross section of a lot of different things, but it was like there was some chupacabra stuff. It was I don't know what it was, but we looked really cool. We had like tattoo sleeves and like vests and like bandanas, and some people had colored contacts, and we all had the teeth, and it was just this playful, fun like zone with like tons of fog and weird lights and a lot of like shadowy corners we could hide in and jump out at people. So there was a lot of freedom there to kind of explore and learn like, okay, how do you scare people really well? And I found I was really good at like finding people's blind spots when they like weren't paying attention and just waiting for them to notice me. And that always gets a really good scare, because like when they notice that you're there, it's just like, oh, okay. A lot of times it's like a double take or triple take, and they think it's just some guy, and then they look at your face and it's like, you know, there's like blood coming out of my mouth and my eyes are like bright red or something. And it's like, oh, that's not a human. What is, oh my
Oh,
God.
that's not normal. Ah.
Or they'd like, I know they would freak out, but they'd be trying not to like emote to express it. So they'd just be like, okay. Oh,
It's like the
see you.
clenching
Okay.
of the jaw. Oh, we notice
and-
those things,
and they,
folks.
like-
We notice.
They freak out and you just like feel it. And I'm just standing there. Like literally, I'm like I wasn't even trying. But then sometimes you'd like chase people around, and this was around the time where the you know, what are those? Like that joke was a big thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids would come up to me and like point to my boots and be like, what are those?
Oh, the memes that come to life. For me
Right.
in 2018, it was a lot of Fortnite dances.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And
Yep.
people wanting you to like floss or dab or whatever.
Oh,
like,
these
the time.
preteens surrounded me at one point and just all did the floss dance around me. I was like, okay.
It's like a ritual. It's like
It's like, this is happening now. Thanks. Okay. Move along.
You're
Okay, you're gonna keep
hypnotizing
dancing. No,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it with you. And then there was a time where I did do the floss dance in 2017 when it was slow.
in character.
I was
Oh, okay.
in character, but I was a kill character, so I was grindstone kill. You said like sometimes the victims would just have some blood or something. No, I had a mask and it was gross, and that's why I keep wearing masks, because I did such a good job. But it was a slow day, and it was a bunch of Jasons around, so it was like Camp Crystal Lake.
Oh,
I was one of the
nice.
camp counselors, and I was getting my face ground up by a grindstone, that Jason.
Classic. We
It
love
was
that.
Great.
Okay.
But yeah, no one was coming through, and then the Jason across from me just started doing the floss dance. I was like, "How do you do that?" So I stood up and like tried to imitate him, and then I started to get it, you know. And so we were all doing the dance.
The hips, and then like the arms being opposite of the hips. I can't do it
Yeah.
sitting down.
I started to get it, and we were all in a flow of just doing this floss dance when this woman runs through, like sprints through screaming, and we were just
I
standing
love the runners.
going, huh? Oh, she's probably with people. Ah, my face! Like back in character right away.
Right. Yeah, and then the audio really helps sell that too, because there's always screaming audio and grindstones. There's always stuff happening whether we're there or not. Like it's always playing, so that helps to like.
Oh
get into
yeah,
the
oh
character.
yeah, definitely,
I-
and it helps
you
save
mentioned-
your
you
voice
mentioned
if you have to
someone-
sync it. Yeah.
yeah, you mentioned someone like ran through. I always love that where it's like, okay, we're gonna spend like months of prep work, and they're gonna spend a whole year planning, and like, you know, the people are gonna build the mazes for months, and we're gonna put all this production design detail and the audio people and the music and everything, and you're gonna pay who knows how many hundreds of dollars to come here with your friends and park and wait in line for 2 hours, and you're gonna sprint through the whole thing and not see any of it.
It makes no sense. Make it make
what's the
sense,
point?
Kyle. Why would they just sprint
I don't
through?
know. I don't understand that at all. Like, why would you spend so much time and money and put so much effort into even just waiting to see these mazes only to go through it like this? Like if you're not
Hey,
gonna
if they
watch
want to
it,
spend
what's
their
the
money and do that, that's on them. For me as the scare actor,
that's
though,
okay.
yeah, it's their choice, whatever they want to do. But for me as the scare actor, watching them go through, it's like, well, I did my job. They're scared. They didn't notice me, but they're scared, so.
Right. Well, and I think that some level they know that there are people watching them. They know that there are people whose job it is to jump out and try to scare them, but they're like, it's like an ostrich, like, oh, well, if I can't see them, then they can't see me.
Sometimes their own mind is the scare, and we don't do anything.
Oh, that's devious. I like that.
I know. Well, it's the same logic as what you said about being in someone's blind spot and waiting for them to notice you. It's because they get that feeling of being watched, and sometimes that is the scariest thing. For us as the scare actor, all we're doing is standing there and waiting. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But for the person, they start having that sinking feeling of, is someone around me? Like, is someone watching me? And then they turn and see you, and sure enough, whatever they pictured in their mind is plastered on your face. Like, it might not even, they might not even see you necessarily. They just know something's there, and it freaks them out and they run. I love that.
Right. Something's gonna get me, and I don't want it to get me. And you're not supposed to touch me. Don't get close. Oh my god! Like they freak out.
I hate those people that do that because they end up touching me anyway. It's like they push me and then I go back I'm not going to touch them, of course, but I'm going to like intimidate them back. And they go, you can't touch me.
We have control.
You just touched me though. It goes both ways. What are you talking about? Security, get them out of here.
Right. Well, and a lot of times they don't know that they're on camera, and we have like security and police, and it's like it's a tight ship. Like I appreciate that, you know, in a lot of these spaces, like there are people keeping an eye on us. There are people keeping us safe. We're not just going like willy-nilly doing whatever we want. The guests can't just do whatever they want. If you don't follow the rules, we're going to kick you out. And I've seen that happen countless times. Like you can't just go in there and harass people. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Like
and
we can harass you because you're
Universal's
paying us
logic
to
of
do
adding
that.
alcohol to the mix. Fun.
Don't even get me
Those drug
started.
people. I always play this game of can I get them to drop their beer? They stand in line, they spend $16 for a watered down 8-ounce beer, and they're trying to get drunk. Can I get them to spill it? And if I could get them to spill it onto themselves, even better. And this one time, I got this one woman who like vibrated it onto herself little by little. That was my favorite. She was like,
I love that verb. Vibrated.
I'm like, you spent $16 for that.
That's really good. My favorite has to be just whenever I can drop someone. And for those who don't know what that means, like if I can scare someone so intensely that they like drop, they just fall to the floor, like their knees give out, or they back up into their family or their pile of friends, and their friends try to push them up, but then it's just dead weight. They just fall to the ground. That's really exciting for me because that's like, it's like using the Force. It's a Jedi mind trick. Like, oh, I just did this. I just like stuck my hand out, and I like physically caused you to fall over and like freak out and scream and then run into the next room or whatever it is. And it's just like, I did that. That was me. I scared them.
Powerful.
I made them pee.
It really does.
Right. I made them pee themselves a little. But you know, it's my job. I don't do that in real life. Like we're not like Scareactors are the nicest teddy bears in real life. Yeah.
We really are.
But like,
I've rarely met anyone I dislike working with in scare acting. Everyone's amazing, and
that surprised me. I didn't realize that. I thought they would all be actually like scary people in real life. It's like, oh, these are all like theater people. These are my people. You know, we're all nerds and geeks and like actors and singers and dancers and you know the costume characters at the park during the day, and there's Disney actors, like whoever. Like we're all moonlighting as scare actors. You know, I'm a TV musician, but you know, so we're all like fun and friendly people. And I tell this to people who are like super freaked out to go into mazes, like, oh, I can't, it's gonna be so scary. I'm like, okay, but it's all people like me just like we're all playing a big joke. Like that's all it is. It's like a really, really, really well crafted prank.
That's an interesting way to
yeah.
look at it, because I never viewed it as a prank, but yeah, it kind of is. We just all gather together and we're paid to jump out and go boo at you, and if we scare you, great. Not okay.
I've never been allowed to say boo. I don't know about you,
Oh,
but in my jobs I haven't been
Whenever
allowed to
I say that,
actually say boo.
No, sometimes in my Scareactor stories when I say, and I jumped out and said boo, I tend to have a disclaimer of, no one actually says boo. If you say boo, like, you might get, not fired, but don't say boo.
It's not scary. Like, you don't think of like a kid jumping out and saying boo is like scary.
That's
right?
not scary, but a lot of the go-tos are actually a liability. Like, a lot of people will default to run or get out and stuff, and that's actually a liability, because if you tell someone to run and then they do it and then they get hurt, you're liable because you told them to do that.
Because you told them to. Even in character, it's still like, well, I was instructed by someone in this space to do that, and then I got hurt. So like, whose fault is it really?
That's why we can't speak anymore at HHN.
Oops.
Because of liabilities, and they don't trust us even if we're in character. But fair, because Scareactors are an interesting group of people. I know quite a few of them who are all just like, rules, what are those? Go do what they want. Within
Girls
reason.
just want to have fun.
Ghosts just want to have fun.
Oh, there it is. Ghosts.
Ghosts just want to have fun. Let me catch up on comments real quick. Carlos says,
okay.
I was wearing that literally yesterday, referring to your shirt. Woo! Scare acting is definitely not safe, but definitely awesome. Yeah, it's safe to a degree. Like, I always tell people, be prepared to get punched. I've had several people being interviewed who said they didn't feel like a true scare actor until they got hit, and then they're like, initiation complete. I'm a scare actor now.
I have one better. So I was in Frankenstein last year, and so here's a little fun story. It was a pretty slow night. It was like a Thursday or something, so we didn't have that many people coming through. And it's probably in September, so it was, it wasn't even like haunt season yet.
Right,
like
it's
we
just
start
like
pretty early.
starting up. It's our practice time, really.
Right.
I think.
But, like, the crowds are good though. We got some families coming through. People are screaming. I dropped a couple people. It was like a good night. I was really getting into it. And a couple comes in, guy and a girl, and so I'm doing one of those, like, one of these things that's not like the other scares. So like, I'm dressed like a skeleton, and then the mannequin next to me is dressed like a skeleton, and the mannequin next to me is dressed like a skeleton, and I'm the real one. And so like they look in for half a second. They're trying to figure out if any of us are real, and kind of in that moment is like, I'll see them like looking and trying to figure it out. That's when I try to do my scare. So the couple comes in, I do my scare. The girl freaks out and she runs into the next room, and the guy is just kind of like confused. He wasn't scared. He just doesn't know what happened. She just left him. So he starts to leave and then stops and then comes back at me and then spits on me and then goes to the next room. And I'm just standing there like, I'm kind of shocked and confused. I had like no idea what was going on. And I look right at the security camera and I'm like, hello? So I get upset, and like they eventually like eject him out of the park, because apparently it wasn't his first offense. Apparently he'd been like harassing people and like touching things and moving props and like spitting on other people. I don't know what it was, but they got him kicked out of the park. And then so people say it's not safe. It's like, well, that's because I'm not going to use a bad word, but people are mean, people are rude,
people
like,
are a-holes.
Right, they can be jerks.
They're jerks.
And so basically whatever you're going to encounter in real life, people being jerks, that's maybe going to be amplified a bit, because they think, oh, it's like a scary environment, and like, well, they're doing stuff to me, I can do stuff to them. Or they're intoxicated because we serve alcohol for some inexplicable reason.
Thing I dislike the most.
Yeah,
Why
so
make them worse?
I've only been back in 2018. I was doing Terror Tram, like the last year that they did Terror
I'm
Tram.
so upset they got rid of that. The one year I went in as a guest was 2019, and it was already gone, and I never got to do it as a guest.
I'm
anyway,
sorry.
So that's my sad tale. Please continue. You were on Terror Tram in 2018.
Well, yeah, but 2018 I was in Terror Tram, and that I was in a little hidey hole, but I could like open a curtain and go out into the hallway that like the guests were at. It was like right after the down plane set. There was kind of this like torture factory with the nightmare ghouls or whatever, and Hollywood Harry's like pulling someone's teeth out or whatever. It was great. Lots of screaming, lots of gore. And then there's this one part where there's all these cages, and then there's like walls in between the cages, but half the walls are like our curtains are the same materials that are covering the walls, so you don't know like what's a false wall, like where people are going to pop out from. So I got to pop out from like a wall basically, but then like go back and then go to a different spot and then pop out from a different spot. It was great. So I had a bit more freedom to move around there, but that means the guests also had a bit more freedom to like interact with me physically. And if someone wanted to run past me and push me out of the way, like unfortunately that did happen a lot. So I haven't been in a zone since Fright Fest where I got to wander around a lot. So in Universal, I hear the actors in the scare zones, you know, they're among crowds, they're interacting with a lot more people, like a lot more frequently and intimately. And there's, you know, as much freedom as they have to scare people, the guests have the same freedom to push them or shove them or throw something at them or get like a metal water bottle to their face or like whatever it is.
My
like,
God,
all sorts of stuff.
Someone got beer thrown in his face in my zone in 2018.
That's horrible.
It was horrible. And moving around a lot of the times, we can't actually see well. I think people forget that fact. And I accidentally
it's dark anyway.
It's dark. And then in my costume specifically, I had this big wolf head and the muzzle, my eyes were in the mouth. So I had no upper, lower, or peripheral vision.
Right. So just do this and now try to...
It's like little slits. If you go like this with the little slits, that's as much as I could see.
That's even worse.
It was really bad. But also the eyes of the wolf were up here. So to make the wolf look at people, I had to look down. So I just remember seeing a bunch of shoes. If I saw that even.
That is something that security tells us though. If you're going to report someone, get their shoes. Because if you know what color and make and model their shoes, like it's like a car, right? If you know the make and model and the year and the serial number.
The trim and like, what...
Right, no, but if they're red Nikes with gold laces, like who else in the park is going to be wearing that, right? It's like a sweater, a t-shirt, a hat, anyone can take off really quickly. But if you want to identify someone and you know what color shoes they're wearing, it's a lot easier for security to, you know, peg someone if they see them later on in another maze or just walking around. It's like, oh, that's the guy with the bright red shoes and the gold shoelaces who spit on an actor. Like, let's talk to him or whatever it is.
Was that person actually wearing red Nikes with gold laces? Because that's very specific, Kyle.
I don't know, but something
it just
like
haunts
that.
You at night. You go to bed. It's like red Nikes. Oh God, the loogies.
Gold laces.
Oh God, the laces. But yeah, it's true. Shoes are always the hardest to change in a theme park. Like no one will think to walk around with an extra pair of shoes and just in case they got in trouble, switch them. That could also go both ways. Please don't interpret this as like how to get away with stuff in a theme park. Just be a decent guest.
We got your flip-flops, we got your sandals, we got like 3 different pairs of shoes and they're all different colors. It's like, okay,
remember kids, if you punch an actor, switch your shoes. Like no.
But like security still has to check your bag. Like it's still gonna go through an x-ray. They're gonna ask you, okay, why do you have 10 pairs of shoes?
They just literally throw away their shoes. Like, get rid of the evidence. Like, who's gonna do that? But yeah, shoes are the toughest to interchange. So if you could start with the shoes and then work your way up to identify the person, if they hit you or mess with you in any way, tell security. Hopefully they're gonna be decent enough at their job to kick those people out, because I unfortunately had one security person in mind who didn't do their job well. And the guy was supposed to be banned for life for what he did to me. And I can only take their word for it because they never found him and never kicked him out, even though he was messing with everyone else's masks. That's fun. But yeah, to get back to your point of like working a scare zone, I was pushed. I was held down and shaken a few times. The creepiest part of that was the expression on the person's face that was not moving. They were just like, this is a daily occurrence for me. Like it was really creepy.
Wow.
And then they would go around and shake all the actors. Someone else put his arm around me and like dragged me with him for a bit. And he was clearly intoxicated. And we're not allowed to speak, but I had to tell him, get off of me. And he's like, we're best friends now. And I'm like, okay, you're coming with me. So then I grabbed him back and I just led him to the security. I'm like, hi, sorry, can you get it off?
Right.
Get it off me. I may be dressed as the monster, but this is the real one. Get him off.
Yes. Hi, I have a Klingon I'd like to report.
I have a stalker. He's right here. Get him off. Is this considered assault? Wild. I think it is. There was another person who, I love telling this story because it it really brings to light the problem that most guests have of not seeing us as people. And that's why they think they could get away with messing with us the way they do. Like, a lot of people will hit us because fight or flight instinct. A lot of those times, I don't know if you're the same way, but
that makes sense. Yeah.
It's like, if it's by accident and you didn't really hurt me, okay, fine. Like, just be more careful.
Well, and we can usually tell, right? Like, we can tell if someone goes like, oh, but they accidentally hit you on their way up because they recoil or freak out. It's a reaction. We can usually tell, and it's fine because that's in good faith. We understand. Yeah, we're gonna scare you. You might move quickly and you might react, and like if you hurt us, like that's fine. That's what we signed up for, right? But if if you intentionally spit on someone or you go up and clock them in the face, like there's an obvious difference. It's not like it's a fuzzy line, like did they mean to or not. Like we can usually tell if it's from fear or like aggression, right?
It's easy to tell because like the people who have the instinct, it happens right away because it's an instinctual reaction. They'll go like, oh, that's it. And it tends to not like hurt, but it can still hurt. So if you are one of those people who have the fight instead of flight, of fight or flight, just be mindful. Keep your hands in your pockets or behind you or something just to minimize that impact, because it does still hurt. It's not okay to hit us, but we'll be nice about it if it really is an accident and you didn't hurt us that much. But there's that pause, that gears turning in the head that we can see before hitting. That's on purpose, and we know when it's on purpose, so just don't hit us. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, there was that one time where someone pushed me and we caught him, and the sheriff actually brought him back, like the head of security brought him backstage and called me off my set early to talk to him. So I went backstage and he was already being like ultimate Karen dude, being like, I didn't do anything wrong. That's why they're here. I was just trying to move in the crowd. I don't know why I'm in trouble. What do you mean? I'm inconvenienced being pulled backstage to talk about something I didn't even do. So he's throwing attitude and he starts pointing at me and says, it was his fault. He was in my way and
You're in a mask, right? So they don't know genders.
I also have boobs in a dress.
Oh. Okay.
So, like, it was I was wearing fur, but it was a leotard. So, like, I don't have the biggest boobies, but they are clearly still there. And a blue dress on. So, and my legs were exposed, and I think they're very feminine, sir. So I was like...
I'm sure they're fabulous. I'm sure you have fabulous legs.
Show off the legs. No. It's that kind of stream now. Where's the hot tub? So I go backstage, and he's just cussing me out, basically, at this point. I don't say anything. I take off my head, my mask, and there's this immediate shift in his facial expression. He goes, no. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like,
he's like, oh, that wasn't a dude. If it was a dude, it would have been okay to like harass them. But now that it's a chick, it's like, oh no, this is like looking really bad for me. I'm so sorry. It was my fault. Like I didn't mean to. It was an accident.
I think the gender difference is more like a bonus for him, because he did say, oh, I appreciate what he said, because there was clearly a shift. He was clearly sorry about what he did once he realized I am a person. But I appreciate him saying this, because I think a lot of other people think the same way as he did, but he was the first one I heard say it out loud and admit it. So I give him a lot of credit, but he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot you were a person.
Wow.
And that happens because we wear masks, and people view us as either objects or props, or just we're there to scare and that's it. But once we take the mask off and they see that we're a person, you're in trouble, pal. Like we get hurt. We have feelings. We're actors. People don't think that's a real job, but it is. And that's our job. That's what we do. So he realized I was a person, but also I could see like that shift in his eye a little bit of like, oh no, she's also a girl. I hit a girl. But that was more of a bonus
double strike two.
Yeah, it's like, oh, buddy, you're in a lot more trouble than you thought. Oopsie poopsie. I don't remember what happened to him. I don't remember if he was kicked out or if he was just given a warning, because he was truly apologetic and I believed him. But it's just good to remember and remind people, like, this is what we do. We are people. We're actors, right? But it is a dangerous job at times. But it's so much fun. So
Yeah, I
just
think
know how
it's
to take-
rewarding. It's rewarding so much, like it makes up for the potential danger. Like, I mean, driving on the freeways in LA is probably more dangerous, right? Like when you really think about it. But if I'm gonna get like grabbed or shoved into a wall or something, it's usually because I did my job really well that I scared someone so much that they feel like, especially guys for some reason, they feel like they have to be macho and like show off and like, put me in my place physically. And like that just means to me that like, oh, I did my job so well that he's so insecure about it that he has to physically accost me. And this is like those times when it's aggression, not just like like a reaction or something, and they accidentally hit you.
Yeah, it's like
But
pointed aggression toward you for
Right.
some reason, and it's usually toxic masculinity more than anything else.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, and then alcohol's involved probably most likely, and that doesn't help either. I love the times when I get revenge scares because
Yes.
revenge scares are the best, especially if you are a female and there is a man who is hitting on you, and for whatever reason, he's just being a dick about it. And you want to put him in his place a little. We can't speak at Halloween Horror Nights, so how am I supposed to say F off, pal? Like, I don't want you. You're too
Scare
ugly
them.
for me. And it's like I'm deformed with my prosthetics. I love that line. Whenever I work a place where I can speak and someone's like, oh, you're so pretty, can I have your number? And I'm deformed like this, I'd be like, nah, you're too ugly. And then I walk away. Or if I wanted to flirt back, my go-to lines are, I love the pickup line of like, excuse me, I lost my number, can I have yours, or something, and I just do that to them. Or if they flirt with me and I want to flirt back in character, I'd be like, your pants are ugly, let me scare you out of them, or something. Like
That's cute.
and those
I like
lines.
that.
Or if I want to say no and someone's like, can I have your number, I'd go, no thanks, I already have one, bye.
Yeah.
Just run
Yeah.
off.
I've heard that one before. That's good.
Oh man, so I love those kind of lines, but unfortunately we can't speak at Halloween Horror Nights, so how do you tell someone off? Well, my go-to is to have a partner with me if I am lucky enough to have someone out there who's having my back. And either if they're messing with them, I'll do what you said you would do and stand in their blind spot and wait for them to turn around and
Right.
get scared. That worked pretty well. We dropped someone for that.
They're like, oh, this interaction is done. I'm going to turn around now and go about my day. And then, oh, there's someone right there. And like, you don't expect,
exactly. So
especially getting in their space. Like, you don't expect someone to be like right here.
Oh, I love getting
It's
an inch
great.
away from someone's nose. Know your limit,
Yeah.
everyone, though. We've been doing this for years, so we know where to stop. New scary.
Like arm's length. Arm's length of distance is usually a good, like, okay, yeah, if they take a swing at me, they're going to miss because I know how to get out of the way quick enough, right? But I can still be in their space where it's uncomfortable, but not like it's unsafe for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
we know our limits, exactly.
It's boo and skidoo or scare and get out. You go in, scare them in their face, and then run away real quick so they can't hit you.
And they also can't process like what happens, so they're even more scared. Because if you scare someone and you just stand there, like you become less scary the more they look at you.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
The more they interpret that, like, oh, that's a person in a mask, and oh, there's a collar, and oh, I can see some skin, and oh, here's the seams, and they start to like pick it apart. Whereas if you can just like one and done, bah, and then you're out of their face, it's like, what was that? And all they're gonna have is some image in their mind, some blurry image of like what they think you look like,
And
because
then they fill it
it's-
in. They fill in the
right.
blanks with their own fear. So it's actually scarier than what you actually look like. Also, they might question their own sanity and be like, was someone even there? Like, yes, that was me. Now I'm back in the shadows. I'm gonna pop out the next one.
that's why a lot of the scares are so effective when it's just like a strobe light and then they're gone, because it's like, okay, something happened, but I didn't get a good look at them.
I love
Did anybody else
scaring
see
in
that?
the dark. It's the
Yeah,
best
those are great.
when you can move in the dark. Let me see what other comments. Did you have acting experience before going for the role, Kyle?
So I was never formally trained as an actor, but all through high school and college, I did musicals and stage plays and like more theatrical stuff. So I have experience with like improv and just being on stage, being in front of people in a ridiculous costume, like Bye Bye Birdie or Brigadoon, whatever. Like I've done musical theater for a while. Legally Blonde is low-key one of my favorites to be in. I've done that show like 3 times.
Nice.
So yeah, it's not like formal acting experience, but I do know people who are like TV and film actors by day and then scare actors by night. So it's definitely that world. But yeah, for me, it's just been like academic, like schooling, like musical theater stuff. So I'm very comfortable in front of crowds in ridiculous outfits, and also movement, like learning like just different things like upstage, downstage. Like you don't want to, if there's like a person here, you don't want to like cut them off and get in front of them. You want to like work together as a team to scare people. So just like little principles like that are helpful from an acting background, but I haven't formally trained anywhere, if that answers the question.
Oh, yes, I think it answers it beautifully. And to piggyback off of that, scare acting is acting. That is a huge part of it. And then there are certain like scare techniques that are good to know, but acting, if you could just get in a character and be comfortable wearing a costume and moving around in it and working with people, like what you said, Kyle, that's great. But you don't need any formal training. We other fellow scare actors are more than happy to help you learn. And the best way to learn how to scare act is by doing it, because you can't really go anywhere and train. Unless you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I have some tips and stuff. But
Nice.
there's no like formal training to be a scare actor. So it does help. It does help. Like even though you don't have formal training, Kyle, the training that you did have with improv and working with costumes and stage and other people, that is fantastic experience that translates very well to scaring. Let's see. Hey, Mama Wolf. Hi, Maroon Wolf. Carlos, in 2018, I had kids Fortnite dancing on me. What? On you?
What does that mean? I have a weird image in my head now. I don't know if it's
I have a not
accurate.
legal image in my head. Whoa, man. Whoa.
How old were these kids? Like,
I
that's an
mean, by the
important
fact that
question.
he said kids is still concerning. Let's see, Carlos. Oh, tell them about your daily grindstone puns. So, daily grindstone.
What are these? What are
Daily
these now?
grindstone puns. This was my first year scaring at Halloween Horror Nights. Just to give a little background to me, because we never talked about this, but I scared up in San Francisco for several years before moving down to LA, and the first and only haunt I've ever done in LA has been Halloween Horror Nights. I never went in through as a guest until 2019, when I took the year off just to heal from the year prior. I got hurt in 2018. Scared throughout the whole season, but afterwards I was like, Mama needs a break. So I took off for 2019 to be a guest and enjoy it. But in 2017, I was Grindstone Kill, like I said, in Camp Crystal Lake for Friday the 13th. And Jason would put my head against a grindstone, spin the wheel, and I go, my face. Exactly like that.
Oh,
that was the
very
amount
scary.
of emotion. My face. So the daily grindstone puns, I get awkward with people I don't know, and when that happens, I make jokes, and they're usually really, really bad puns. And then this bad pun happened to be so bad that I stuck, and I said it every single day before work. So I would get to set, I would grab my mask, the gross one, right? And I would announce to everyone, well, back to the daily grind. And then I put the mask on. And then I would go to the grindstone, do a pelvic thrust, and sit down, and that would start my shift every day. And the first day, people were like, I get it. The second day, they're like, she said this yesterday.
Okay.
And then like 34 days in, they're like, we get it. Oh my God. And I'm like, this is gonna stay a thing, everybody. I'm so sorry.
Oh, those poor people.
Yeah, I would feel sorry, but it was just such a good pun. I can't apologize for that.
It is a good pun, but I feel like if I was with your team, with your maze, like after the second week of hearing that, I feel like I would want to beat you to it. Like you pick up the mask, back to the daily grind. Like I would want to say it first so that you wouldn't say it, but then you'd probably be like, oh, cool, back to the daily grind. Like it would just
People
like we'd say
love
it back
it.
and
They're
forth.
saying it with me. The encouragement is fantastic, but in reality, people really hate it, and that's why they're trying to beat me to it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In reality, it'd be like, I just don't want you to say it today. So what if I say it first?
Oh, I would still say it. I would still be that jerk, and I'd be like,
There you go.
hey, daily grind. Oh, yeah. Just go with it.
With a little body roll, you gotta.
oh yeah, back to the daily grind. Oh, yeah. And then pelvic
it's
thrust
funny,
at the grindstone. It's great. Carlos. Oh, good correction. No, not on me. I just mean in front of me. Okay. Good. We
okay.
needed to
That's
make
very
that
important.
clear.
That is very important.
Yes. Pro Ace, thank you so much for the bits. That's awesome. Thank you. But yeah, so let's we have 15, 30 minutes roughly. If you all still have questions, feel free to ask them for with Kyle and me. We'll answer any questions and chat everything. That's the point of this. But Kyle, can you please go into more detail as to what kind of characters you played, which ones were your favorites, and maybe tell some stories as your favorite scares.
Okay, so yeah, going all the way back to Fright Fest, Six Flags. I was a biker vampire. That was okay. We didn't really know what it was. It was just kind of like, you could tell someone threw a bunch of ideas together and it worked and we had fun. And that was the only time I worked for Six Flags, was doing that character. But then coming to Universal, my first character here was a nightmare ghoul in Terror Tram in 2018.
Okay.
And I have some sweaters here. Hang on. Okay. So this is the Terror Tram sweater. I don't know how we'll be able to see it there.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Hollywood Harry's Terror Tram sweater. And on the back of it, I got this because it had the posters for all of the sections on the back. So I don't know if we can see this here.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So
Clowns on a plane. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So on the bottom there is that the Nightmare Ghoul section, Nightmares. And I was one of these ghouls, basically.
Nice.
So I don't know if I can get a good close-up of it here. This is terrible camera work. This guy. So I was that.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
So you had a mask.
And it was, yeah, I had like it was like a latex mask, one of those like skin tight ones. And the first time I put it on, I was like kind of scared because like I hadn't worn like a big, heavy, full head covering mask. And they're like, yeah, just like stick your hands in it and stretch it out and then just like shove your face in there. And I'm like,
good luck trying to see and breathe for the next minute while you adjust.
are you sure? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Like the first time I put it on, I was actually like, that was the only time I feel like I got scared, like actually, because I'm just like looking at this like, oh, and so I have to like stick your head in and you can't see anything, and then it sounds weird and you have to like use your hands to like shimmy into it, and then you have to like
rough. It is rough.
pull the
first
nose
couple
to get
times.
the eyes there. I was really kind of freaking out, but then once the mask was on and I looked in the mirror, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I can work with this. It was really fun. It had a black wig attached to it.
Oh,
so it
fun.
was like, yeah, it had these like weird mouth pieces and stuff, and like it was this decrepit old ghoul thing, and then this fuzzy black wig, and it was great. I had a lot of comments that year on my hair. A lot of like, hey girl, like, where do you go? Where do you get your hair did? Like all fun stuff. A lot of people flirting with me because they didn't know what gender I was. It was great. I had a lot of fun with that character. And then I also had like it wasn't a scythe, but it was like a blade with like blood and brain bits and hair on the end of it. So like I could like shove that in people's faces and they'd be like, oh, what's that? And it looked wet the whole time. It was great. I loved it.
Fantastic.
So that was like my first role at Horror Nights with Terror Tram. And then I don't know if you knew the schedule of Terror Tram, but it would end at midnight and then the park would still be open until like 2 a.m.
So you did pool after that?
I did get to do pool. I did a few other roles. The Purge was that year. So one of these, I mean, there's like all sorts of Purge mazes. I don't remember which one it was specifically.
Purge is like every year. They really love promoting Purge.
It was the one with the guy with all the needles in his fingers, and he would go around and there was an explosion, and I don't remember, like the guy with like he had a bunch of like needles in like each one of his fingers, and he would like stab people with it or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But I got to do Purge, and I got to wear some like ridiculous masks and have bloody knives and like go after people, and so that was really fun. I did a couple roles there. And then in 2019, I was in the Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman Maze. Represent.
Whoop, whoop.
And there I was one of Dr. Frankenstein's failed experiments. So kind of a precursor to Frankenstein's monster. It was like a skull, like a skeleton face with a slimy green brain bolted in at the forehead. And it was the coolest mask I've like ever worn. It was like form fitted to my face, like there's little foam pieces. It was a lot more comfortable than the latex one I had the year before. I could breathe in it better. I had better visibility. It was very luxurious compared to the year before. I was really excited for that role.
Very lucky. Yes.
But that was cool because in the Frankenstein maze, I had a couple hides that I could be in like kind of a crypt section and jump out at people as like a skeleton. And I got some really good scares that year. That was exciting. So yeah, that's it. I've done like a handful of roles for Horror Nights and Six Flags, and excited to see what's in store for this year. They haven't even announced any of the mazes yet, but I hope it happens.
Yeah. So you want to scare again?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
because I know we talked about this before we went live, but I just wanted to announce, like, yeah, he's interested, you guys.
Nope, I'm done. Never again. I hated it.
I mean, that would also be fair. It's not for everyone. That's why so many people drop within the first 2 weeks every year.
That's right. Well, because
Yeah.
I don't think they realize like how much of a physical commitment it is. Like they're not just standing there like looking pretty. Like no, you're using your whole body to trigger a flight or fight response in another human being who's like inches from your face. Like, you know, it's a lot of physical work, and it's strangely intimate too. Like scaring someone is very much like an interaction with the audience. Like you have to get into their head. You have to like attack them in a way where you don't actually touch them. It's all psychological.
And it's really interesting. Over the years, you develop these kind of skills that start off a very conscious thought of, I need to read their body language. What kind of scare would work for them? Are they going to hurt me if I get too close? Like what kind of reaction would they have versus, you know, others? But after several years, it becomes almost automatic
You just
where,
know. Yeah.
where I have to stop myself a few times and go, why did I do that scare? Oh, right, because they were moving like this. Oh, right. You know, and
Well, I mean, especially if a crowd comes in and they're all, it's like a, you know, group of teenage girls and they're all like huddled together and they're just like, two of them are like looking around to make sure that their pod doesn't like run into the walls or something. It's like, okay, step one, break them up. Step two, scare the people that fall on the floor even more. Try to go for the double scare. You know, like there's a process that you learn, but it's not like a one size fits all. Like you can't, I mean, you know, if a 6'4" guy comes in and he's walking slowly and nothing phases him, like you can't do the same scare to that guy.
oh, I
that you
crawl
would
on
for
the
for-
floor right in front of him usually, yeah. There was
Yeah,
this one
for
big
gaggle.
dude who's so distracted by the fire tower in 2018. Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
yeah.
We had that
with all
fire.
the-
I actually
all
got
pyro.
to control it a little bit because the guy
Look at you.
because the guy in charge of it, he was in this little window along New York Street, so he would watch us and try and like time it with us. There was one button that would do like a random one at a time, and then the other one, which is the big fire. And you know, you can't hold it out too long because, you know, propane is expansive.
Yeah.
But he came up to me. His name's Hutch, awesome guy, and I never met him before, but he was like, "You're one of the wolf girls, right?" I was like, "What? How could you tell in my fur leotard and
What do you mean?
me holding a wolf head in my hands? What? Unheard of. I was a zombie
me?
kid." He's like, "You are my favorite actor." I said, "Why?" I mean, thank you, but why? And he goes, "Because you stay in character even while you're walking off set." So what I would do is,
Yes.
as
Oh,
I'm
that's so
walking off
good.
set, I would still be walking like a wolf, and I would run into him every once in a while, and I would like sniff at him, like roar at him as I go, and like watch, like stalk him a little bit, and then I would head
Right.
off stage as
You're,
soon
you're
as.
still with it. You're still present.
Well,
in
yeah,
the
if
moment.
guests could see me, I'm
Right,
not gonna just be
right.
like, "Set's done." Da-da-da-da-da.
Like, I'm trying to imagine like the characters during the day. Like imagine if like SpongeBob is all like smiles and sunshine skipping along, and then he like turns the corner and he like shrugs his shoulders and just like slumps off. Like, wait,
Exactly.
what happened
It
to SpongeBob?
kills
Did he
the
just turn
image.
off? Like what happened?
Exactly. So I never want that to happen. I'm a professional. I stay in character. As long as people can see me, I stay in character. But he said he loved that about me. So he said, "Do you want to play with the fire?" I'm like, "Always." "Oh my God, yes, please." And he's like, "You're on your break now, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come with me." I'm like, "Oh my God, let me grab my onesie." So like,
Onesies, yes. Oh my God, everybody wears onesies like backstage
That
and like
was,
and during Halloween and.
I credit my friend Sky for that. She said that
Mm-hmm.
like a few years prior, she started the onesie trend, and then since she was wearing it, everyone else thought like that was a great idea, so that they did it. So I'm gonna give credit to her. Like I'd seen it around. I didn't know she was like the originator of the idea, but she was a fellow wolf girl, and I was like, I don't care as long as I wear a onesie. I don't care who gets credit. Like there you
Nice.
go. But yeah, I
wore
had
my- I
my
wore a-
unicorn onesie on, and I would go
Oh,
up
cute.
into
I have a
this.
stormtrooper one. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so I had like this unicorn onesie. I get all dressed up so that, you know, the fur isn't poking out. And thankfully, I only had makeup around the eyes. So I would just put on sunglasses at night because I'm cool like that. And I went up into the building. Decrepit old thing from the inside. I was worried I would get like tetanus or something. Like,
The facade looks so pretty and like professional and like well done, and you go like inside, it's like, oh, this is all like 2x4s and exposed.
it's like I had to
walls.
flatten myself against a wall and go sideways at one point. It was really it was concerning. But we get in there, and there was this other guy that I don't know his name. I'm so sorry, but he was just like, "This is my job, just pressing a button." And then I was just like, "All right, shifts over, my turn." He's like, "All right." He leaves, and I was just like, "Please sit down." Oh, gosh, what a gentleman. Sit down. He explains the buttons to me, and I look down, and I find one of my fellow wolf girls. She sees me up there, and she gives me a nod. I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." So she gets under it, and she looks up at me. I'm like, "Do it." She roars to the sky, and as she does that, I press the big flame button, and it just goes whoosh. Like, I love playing with fire. Is this concerning? Nah, let's do it some more.
I hope there was like a photographer there or something who like captured that moment. It was just this like.
No, unfortunately, he was busy taking pictures of celebrities or whatever. So
those guys. I mean, it's fun, when I get to say like, oh yeah, Ariana was here last night, Billie Eilish, LeBron, like whatever, right? And it's so casual for me because I've done it for years. But the other people are like, wait, you like breathe the same air as like my favorite person who I've never met before, but I listen to their music. It's
I
guess being in Hollywood, I'm just kind of jaded. Like, yep, there's famous people here and they come to horror nights and it's awesome. But like you don't meet them. You just like see them for 2 seconds, scare them, and then they walk away. They're like just like any other guest.
I don't even process it until after it's done and be like, rah! Wait, was that?
was that Shia LaBeouf?
Was that Selena Gomez with The Weeknd? Oh my god. I accidentally scared JoJo Siwa, who in turn accidentally scared me.
Oh my god. There's a story here.
Not really, actually. It was just I was
happened?
a wolf on New York Street. I was facing one direction. I turned around just to turn around, and there was a little JoJo Siwa going, ah! And then runs off. And I go, ha! I didn't know she was there. Was that JoJo Siwa?
Right. You have to process it, especially like when you're in the zone where there's like a flow, it's just like, and you're just like scare someone, and then you're on it, and it's great, and there's like a rhythm going, and then you get someone, and then you get another family, and then you're like, wait, was that guy 2 guys before? Was that Shawn Mendes? Like, I can't tell. And then you get offset, like, however many minutes later, and you're like, hey, who was just in here? Was that a celebrity? And they're like, who? What? I'm like, oh yeah, I think like Shawn Mendes went through. I'm like, yeah, I thought so. I wasn't sure.
See, I would rather have that than what I usually get, which is, did you see so-and-so came through? I'm like, no.
No, right. Wait, when you miss them, and it's so annoying because it's like,
man.
oh, I love their music. They're great.
I would have loved to have scared them. Oh man. Or like I did, but I didn't process it because I was looking at a bunch of shoes. Like
Right. Oh, because with the
with
visibility.
The wolf head, it's like that. I accidentally scared my boyfriend's ex when I didn't even know my boyfriend at the time. And I don't remember because I'm the one in the mask and seeing a bunch of faces. They are more likely to remember me because I'm the monster. So
right. There's less of you, and we're interacting with like thousands of people a night, and like I'm not gonna remember, XYZ. Like
remember me? You scared me at this time on this day, and I'd go no.
Right.
No, but there was one guy
when,
I did remember scaring him. I did remember scaring this one guy, and it was hilarious because I actually did see him after we got out of costume and everything. We were walking back to our cars.
That's fun.
I dropped him, and his like girlfriend, wife, whoever had to pick him up and walk him away. And I thought that was hilarious. So then at the end of the night, I get out of costume and makeup, and then I go into the flow of traffic back to my car as a normal person now. And who's next to me but the guy I scared earlier? And I can't say anything. I can't reveal who I am.
It's so tempting where you're just like, oh, we had such a cool little interaction earlier, and like I did my job really well, and you liked me, and you said like you got me, bro, and like we had that interaction, and now you're telling all your friends about me, and I'm standing right next to you, and you'll never know.
It's like a secret
that's
crush.
the
It's like
part.
we had a moment, but
It's
forbidden. I can't
that's
reveal
the craziest
myself.
part.
Yeah, so I just asked him like, oh hey, did you have fun? He was like, yeah, but nothing scared me. It was pretty lame. I was like,
wow.
I really
see. There's
wanna
toxic
put you in
masculinity again. It's the macho like, oh, I didn't get scared, and there's like a little pee coming down their side of their leg.
I did get a guy to pee himself and fall back into his posse of 4 other grown men, and he like walked away.
Oh, I need to give you a trophy. Oh my gosh.
I love that. Do you
That's
ever have like a bucket list of? I ask every Scareactor this, and I thought it was a common thing. Apparently, it's not, and I'm learning this. But I have a bucket list every year of like checklist of what I want to do that year, like make someone pee themselves, have someone drop a beer,
That's
drop
still
a
on my list.
person. Do you have that?
So dropping people is always like #1 high priority for me. But making someone pee themselves, like I've only heard stories. I don't think I've ever done it personally. I mean, I made a guy spit on me, so that's a new thing. It wasn't on any list.
It's bodily
but, like,
fluid. It's fine.
It sort of counts. But yeah, And then I've also scared someone who was cocky and didn't think they could get scared, and they were like,
Ah.
you know, so like for example, if I'm like a skeleton and there's skeletons around me and they point right at me and they know that I'm the real one, and I still end up scaring them, that's
That's a big
gold.
win. That's a big
And then
win.
double scares too. If I can scare them and they fall to the ground, and then when they get up, I can scare them again and they run into the next room. That's always fun. So yeah, I
Oh,
do have
that's
like
great.
a little short list just for myself of like, what am I gonna try to do tonight? Like, you know, I want to be on fire and like get people twice, or like get someone the instant they recognize that I'm the real skeleton, or like whatever it is. So it's situational. It depends on like where I'm at, what my role is, what my character is.
But I'm happy to
Yeah.
hear you at least have that list, because a lot of other people that I talked to didn't know what I was talking about. They'd be like, I mean, if it happens, I'd count it as a win, but it's not like I'm going for it. And I go, but why not? It adds
No,
the fun
I'm going
of the
for it.
season. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
Just
aiming
keep
for
a running
this.
checklist in my head, like, oh, like I dropped like 3 families in a row. Like that was pretty cool. Like I'm doing all right. So
My
it's
supervisor
a good
would
way to keep in
pin
check.
us against each other and make a competition, because there was 2 full transformed wolves. It was me and my friend Mackenzie, and she would come off set, and as I'm about to get on set, and the supervisor would be like, so what'd you do? And she would be like, oh, I scared a bunch of teens, they ran away or something. And he would turn to me like, she scared a bunch of teens. And I go, watch this. And I would come off set,
Fire!
and he'd be like, what did you do, Noelle? I'm like, I made someone pee their pants. And he turned to Mackenzie, she made someone pee their pants. And then Mackenzie's like,
Wow.
oh, let me get out there. And
Like
I made
levels.
someone domino effect. Oh, man. She made
Or
someone
they go
domino
like, or
effect.
they
Noelle.
fall backwards into someone, and they fall backwards into someone.
Oh,
and
yeah. I call that the domino effect, where it's like, everyone behind him.
Beautiful. I love that.
Auto mod. Oh, I'm gonna allow the word bitch. I'm sorry, but mod almost restricted someone. Okay, Carlos. Kyle was the man. He always took risks, and nothing he did was ever a failed experiment. Oh, that's so nice.
That's so sweet. Oh my
Yeah.
god, thank you.
Sorry, just felt the need to wolf that joke in there. Quite frankly, I get it. I love the puns. I love the wordplay.
That was really well done, I will admit.
Round of applause. All right. I always love scaring people, and then afterwards they yell, I knew it! I knew it! Like, bitch, if you knew it, you wouldn't be scared.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I love calling them out on that. I want to work Halloween Horror Nights again, but I live too far away now. I'm still auditioning. Like, I still sent in my information and everything, so we'll see. But I also work a big girl job now, 9 to 5, typical
Right.
kind of thing. So I don't know if
You gotta wake up before 12 noon, like, so that's not really doable during horror nights.
I'll make it happen. If they could just work with my schedule, because it normally wouldn't be an issue if I lived near Universal, but I
Right.
don't anymore, and it's going to be like 2-hour ride in traffic around that time. And
It's tough.
yeah, I might be able to argue with my boss, like, can I leave just 30 minutes early if I go into work 30 minutes early and get there on time?
Right.
But I also told them, like, I can't start until 7. Is that going to be a problem? Weekends I could do. That's easy. But yeah, that sucks.
I do appreciate that they are flexible, because they know that like this isn't anyone's full-time job. Like this is like a bunch of creatives
seasonal.
and
Yeah.
gig workers doing seasonal acting work. So yeah, they're definitely good in that respect, where it's like, hey, I have like a scoring session, or I have to go meet with the director this weekend. Like I'm not going to be able to work on Saturday. Like as long as you give them enough heads up time, they're usually pretty good about like, you know, bringing in someone from pool or like a temp or just whoever to like cover all the positions and stuff. So I did appreciate that aspect of the role.
Well, yeah, they have to understand, like, stuff happens, and we are in a business where we tend to get hurt, so we might need to take a day off just to heal up a
Right.
bit so that it's not permanent damage later, because that is a really important thing. I personally am very stubborn, so I'll like work through an injury that needs to be rested sometimes, and then it affects me later. So
Yeah.
for example, I have tendonitis in my left knee because I was doing a bunch of squats, and then it started to hurt, and I was like, I just didn't stretch beforehand, that's fine, just keep going.
Gotta push through it. and then
Push
you
through the
shouldn't. Yeah.
pain. No, don't push through the pain. Take the day off if you need it. Like,
Yep.
you will only
Bubble
get
baths,
older and
fluids.
worse.
Bed rest. Yeah.
Bed rest.
I tend to err on the side of like taking too much time off. Like, you know, like be as comfortable as you possibly can when you're not working, and like don't tax your body like as much. Like rest as much as you need to is what I'm trying to say, because it definitely takes a lot out of you as a job, because it is a job. It's not just like we are having fun, but it is like a physically intense like job.
Yeah, I call myself a professional scare actor for two reasons. One, like I get paid for it. So yeah, I'm a professional. This is my profession. This is what I do. But also professional in my demeanor. Like I treat it like a job. I show up on time as best as I can, early. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired. I have that mentality. So I'll try and get early.
That's good.
And then
yeah, we clock in, we clock out. I mean, it's
and
there's
follow
the
the rules.
little joke video of like Universal did a promo video of like the monsters getting on a tram with like normal people to like go clock in for the day, and they do the punch cards in costume. I'm like, well, that doesn't really work because we have to get into costume after we clock in. But you know, it's a cute video.
But it does show like this is our job. This is what we do. We clock in, we get into character, we do our job, we follow rules. Like we don't touch the guests, we don't speak lines. We're not allowed to do that. And you know, we try our best. So we are good at what we do, and that's why they hire us every year.
Yeah, people seem to like us because they have us back, and guests get scared and pee and run away and scream.
It's fantastic. It's a fun time had by all.
We live on the screams of children.
It really, though, it fuels us. Do you feel energized
it's
after a good
adrenaline.
scare? It really is. It's great.
It's definitely adrenaline, but you know, it's also like done in a very controlled space. Like you don't just go out onto the street. I mean, maybe some people do. I don't just go out onto the street and go blah and like random people. Like I do it in a costume, in an event that I'm being paid for. You know, like it's still
normally this would be
still
harassment, but I get paid for it.
It's the only time during the year where you can like just let off all of your aggression. You know, if you have anything going on in your head, like you can completely lose yourself in a role, and then just turn that into physical aggression. Scream, yell, smack the set if they let you, or like make a noise, or like whatever. Like put it all out in the role, and it just becomes this like really fun cathartic way of like expressing yourself. That I love it so much. And,
absolutely.
And you feed off the adrenaline of people screaming at you, because that means, oh, I did it right. You know, like a musician, if people are cheering and they're like clapping and screaming, like they're going to play off of that energy of the audience. And for a scare actor, it's the exact same thing. If they're screaming and running away and like like looking at you funny and like freaking out and their hands are going up, like, I mean, that's it. That's what it's all about. It's like, it's scaring them. That's our job. Actors, as scare actors, we act to scare you. Like that's the point.
Yeah, and we love it. I always say scaring is my therapy and screams are my applause.
Oh, that's beautiful. That needs to go on like a t-shirt. Like
I want to make it a t-shirt. I am making merch. Maybe I should write that down.
There you go. Merch sales. Get it.
Merch sales. Let's go. All my Scareactor friends, please support me. Is this true to you too?
That's a good motto. I do like that.
Yeah, I always say that. But it's true, because scaring is therapeutic for us. We can't normally do this. And do you ever have pent-up aggression? You just want to make someone pee their pants? You want to go for it? Scaring.
Right. You just make like make a commercial or an ad or something. Like, do you like scaring people without physically touching them?
Do people call you a monster? You ever want to be one? Come on in. We're family. When you're here, we're family.
Right, and you have all this like the lovely like pizzicato strings, and
just
it's like this dainty little
beautiful classic music as you're walking through, and people
all
are
the
like
monsters
covered
getting their
in
nails
blood.
done.
Yeah. I need this to happen. We need to make you make the song, we'll make the music video. Let's get it going.
Perfect. Well, I mean, Horror Nights 2021. Like, if you're there, like, we'll make it happen. That'll be great.
I'm gonna try my best to be there. It depends on if they'll hire me. If they hire me and they're cool with my schedule, absolutely, I will sacrifice. Cool. I'm always about self-care, of course, but I will sacrifice sleep if that means scaring again, because scaring takes priority for me. That's my therapy. And boy, do I need it after 2020. So.
Yeah. Speaking of pent-up aggression, my goodness.
Oh, uncontrolled rage. Who, me? No.
What?
Awkward
Existential
laughter.
dread? Freaking out about the state of the world? Us? Who? What?
Oh, man. So was there ever a character that you really wanted to play that you have in mind? Either a specific character or just the vague, vibe of a character? Does that make sense?
I would like to play a kind of character that doesn't have to wear a mask, because like the face performers usually have like a speaking line or something that they're syncing up to with the audio, where they're a character in the story that people would recognize, like Stranger Things or Michael or Jason, or like whatever characters like would just be face characters. That'd be fun. But actually, in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, I wanted to be a Wolfman so bad,
Aw.
but I was too short. I was like,
Damn it!
I was like a couple inches too short to ever be a Wolfman. But that looks so fun. Like visibility was 0, but the costume itself with the claws and the yellow eyes and the like, it looks so fun. So that would have been a fun role to do.
I
But
gotta
yeah, other
say,
than those, yeah.
being a wolf is great for the glutes.
You're crouching a lot of squats. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the way you walk as a wolf, it's like your shoulders are back, your hands are like clawed because they're claws, but you're almost sitting as you walk a little bit because you're stalking like an animal.
Yeah.
And that's the beast walk. Is like.
You know what? I miss that. Like because like you're walking like every day, but then like as a scare actor, kind of you have this natural like almost this like gorilla kind of like like a video game character where you're waiting. You're just waiting to like
my
like,
idle bounce.
And this is where all those like plyometrics are gonna come in because it's all like jumping and stuff, right?
Yeah, I need to look into that. I never even heard of that, but that makes sense because that's scary.
Yeah, it's just
Absolutely.
it's explosive movements and it's like cardio.
I try and do that with my push-ups, just like slowly go down and then push up.
Exactly. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great to know. I was thinking of making a fitness video, but for scare actors.
Yeah.
Be like, and remember, you can touch the guests here. Punch them in the face. There you go. Punch that guest. They're a jerk.
Can you give me
back
1
at them. And
Sorry, I think the cat's. Can you give me 1 second?
Okay.
I gotta deal with.
No worries. Carlos, I put in my. Oh wait, sorry. Do any of you guys have stories with the chainsaw and or stilt performers? I do. I have a couple. Probably heard them before. I'll ask Kyle when he gets back. I put in my application 2 days ago, looking forward to potentially seeing you guys in person if hired again. Absolutely. That would be great to work with you. I'm so excited to see people again. It's been a while, but I'm fully vaccinated. I'm ready to get back to work. Let's do it. If not Halloween Horror Nights, maybe I'll audition for other haunts and see if I could do something. But yeah, for stilt performer, the only real stories I have with that involves me being hurt in some way. You're back. Hello. Oh, you're still muted.
Microphone. Hello.
Microphone. It's back. Yay. So Carlos has a great question. Do any
Yes.
of you guys have stories with the chainsaw and or stilt performers?
Oh, okay. This is funny. 2018, Terror Tram. I'm backstage in our little area. I'm just gonna get a snack, right?
As
Going
one
for
does.
like some water, get some fruit snacks, like whatever they have back there.
Oh, fruit snacks.
And I'm telling a story to my supervisor at the time, and she's like asking me like, "How's everything going?" And I'm telling her how I scared someone, and so I'm like setting it all up, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, so I did this. I pulled back the curtain, I shoved my weapon in their face, and they like freaked out and like ran away, and it was awesome." And they're like, "Ah!" And like right as I'm doing that, one of the chainsaw guys had snuck up behind me and revved his chainsaw. And so my fake turned into a real and he got me so good. I was just not expecting it. But the way he timed it was like I'm telling this story and I'm feeling all good about myself. It's like, oh, this is so great. So I scared this guy and I was like, and it just turned into like a real scream because he revved this chainsaw. And I'm like, I get why those are scary now, because when it's quiet and then you hear a chainsaw rev right next to you, it's terrifying.
It is so terrible. That's so funny though.
So he got me really good, and yeah, that's been my main experience with the chainsaw guys, because we're usually in different areas. But and then at the end of the night, at the end of like the run, like the whole event, like all the chainsaws just like run around for 20 minutes and like scream and do their whole routine at the like the main zone there. That's so fun. I love that.
I was involved in that a couple times and we totally trolled everyone. It was fantastic because we were synced up to the music. We were headbanging to the music with all the chainsaws. So all the monsters in both the zones were in this big circle on Main Street and we were just like bum, bum, bum. And then at a certain drop in the beat, we all went out and scared people, and then we came back, had bang, 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 and we were like revving up again. We're gonna go and scare, and then as the beat drops, we just walk away.
Wow.
Nothing happened.
Fake out.
Faked them. Yeah, it was really funny. I had no idea what was going on until someone next to me had to yell in my ear like, "Just walk away like nothing happened." I'm like, "Got it." It was great. Um,
Oh, I love that. So you've done chainsaw work before, like you got to carry it for
no, I
roles?
wasn't like holding the chainsaw, but I did work with them
Okay,
because the
you were just
chainsaws.
with them in the group, yeah.
Yes, but I want to do chainsaw. If they will let me do chainsaw, I will absolutely do it. And it terrifies all my friends.
It looks so fun, but it also like it looks so exhausting because those things are heavy, man.
They're
like,
heavy.
I mean,
yeah.
it gets lighter as you go on because the gasoline is like used up, so it actually gets lighter throughout your set. But then you're getting more tired, so it like kind of evens out.
I was just gonna say like, but it weighs on you for a while, and your poor fingers and your grip. Ugh. But
Yeah.
I always ask like my boyfriend and my closer Scareactor friends. I always ask, can you imagine me with a chainsaw? And they go, oh my god. Oh, just the thought. Like. I'm gonna do chainsaw. Yeah, like, you don't know me, but I am a spitfire when I'm out there, and I will totally go all in for whatever role I'm in. So if I'm handed a chainsaw, best believe I'm gonna be using that to scare people real good. I'm excited,
Yep.
but I have no idea how to use them, so I need training. We'll see.
I've used it. I've used a real chainsaw to like chop wood before, and that's been my only experience with it. To like actually use it for its intended purpose, but like I don't know how to use it to like scare people. I just know that I've been scared with a chainsaw before.
Yeah, there was I have one Stiltwalker story and then a chainsaw story if we have time for those. I'll say them really quick, but Stiltwalker, well, two. One is I accidentally scared in front of a Stiltwalker when he was trying to scare someone, and he ended up stomping on my foot and I twisted my ankle. So that was the injury that I had to heal from, and I had a previous injury on that same ankle, so it kind of exacerbated. But he was so apologetic. It was my fault entirely. Like, I was new to working with Stiltwalkers, so. But like that more fun story with Stiltwalker. My friend Jeff was a Stiltwalker, and he had this prop hatchet. I was a wolf. I could not curl my claws. They were made of a really thick plastic.
You don't have any articulation in your fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just like this the whole time. The most I could do was that. And then like fist bump a kid or something. But I couldn't curl my hands. I couldn't hold anything. And he thought there was this bright idea. I was like his minion. So I would run up to him. He would pat my head, point at someone, then I'd go and scare them and then come back. And so we had this thing going on. And then he randomly gave me his hatchet. So I'm holding it like this going, why? Why?
What do I do with this? I can't hold it.
I am a weapon. Why did you give me a weapon? I'm a wolf. Like, what the hell? So, and then he just walks away, which in Stiltwalker is like sprinting away to a normal person. So he's already on the other side of the scare zone, and I'm just holding his hatchet going, what do I do? So I try and grip it as best as I can, but I can't use it because I'll lose it, and I might hit someone. So I'm trying to just like walk around and go, ha, ha, ha. And the guests were more confused than scared, which is fair because I was very confused.
Why is the wolf holding an axe?
I was so confused.
Well.
No, it was so awkward. So then I ran up to him and I like presented it back to him, and he just pats my head and walks away, and I go, no, and I start chasing him with the hatchet.
No, take it.
The chainsaw story is funny because it was a slow day, and when it's slow, we improv and just have fun in the zones. So there was an understood hierarchy that zombie kids were scared of the werewolves who were scared of the chainsaw people in the other zone. So
that's really cool.
So one zombie kid comes up to me and I turn and he just goes, huh, and starts running away. And of course, improv, yes, and I'm like, he's scared of me. Time to chase. So I chase him into the other scare zone and he hides behind a chainsaw person. Unfortunately, this person was Pool and didn't understand the hierarchy or the fact that I'm going to eat the zombie kid if you move away. So all she did was wave hello and walk away. So this is where it gets a little awkward because it's like, well, what do I do now? I have to kill you. I'm so sorry, friend. I have to kill you.
Now you have to eat the zombie child. Yeah.
Exactly. But obviously can't let that happen. And so we're just like staring at each other going, what do we do? And I'm like slowly approaching him and staring him in the eyes going, do something. I'm going to have to attack you. What do we do with this improv? He then goes, runs over to a fern plant with very thin leaves, holds 3 of those very thin leaves over one of his eyes. And I go, where'd he go? And I walk away. That was the best we
I
could
can't
do.
see him. I can't smell him.
I
I don't know what's.
I
I
lost
guess he's
him.
gone. Okay.
He just disappeared. Oh man.
That's brilliant.
Shucks. And then I just walked away.
I do kind of feel sorry for like those pool people who come in and they don't know all the inside jokes and like hierarchies and things like that, because it's difficult already to fill in a role that you've never played before, but you're also coming into like a well-oiled machine with like a team that already knows how to play with each other. So it's like, that's got to be really tough. The only time I've experienced pool has been, just for a couple hours in like random mazes in 2018.
Same.
I
did that when I was
myself,
on Terratram too. Yeah. It's so hard to go into a place and they all know each other and they're like a family and you're just like, hi.
Hi, I want to be spoopy too.
Can I be scurry? I want to be scurry. I did that. We had this very small purge scare zone back in 2017. I was pool after Terratram like you did. And I came in and there was like one chainsaw dude, another dude with a big hammer or something. I forgot what his weapon was exactly. And I also had like an axe, or what did I have? I don't remember. I was the only girl in that scare zone during that set. And I had never scared with the guys. I still don't know their names because I got thrown into the zone. I couldn't like pull them off to the side and be like, hey, what's your name? While there are people walking by.
Right.
And that's just the most awkward thing.
You don't have time to interact with them because you didn't do warm-ups together, and you didn't have like lunch or dinner before going on set. Like
I don't know what their faces look like because we're all wearing masks. Like, still don't know who those guys
isn't
are.
That wild?
It's
like,
so
I'm really
awkward.
great friends with that team of people who I don't know their names and I don't know what they look like and I don't know what they do during the day or who they are, or what their lives are like. But we're great. We work well together.
We're great.
We're friends, I guess.
Don't know what they look like or their names. Yeah, I interviewed someone who was a stilt walker in my zone, and I had no idea because the stilt walkers kind of kept themselves in a tent, and then I only ever saw them when they were on set with me, fully dressed
in costume,
in mask and everything, and I couldn't tell them apart because I don't know who plays what role. And so I'm interviewing them. They're like, "Oh yeah, I know you. Like you we were in the same zone." Like, I'm so sorry. Who are you?
I don't remember you.
I don't remember you. And I had that same kind of interaction with a fellow wolf girl, like a half transformed wolf girl that I worked with in my zone. I had never seen her without her prosthetics, and the prosthetics covered her nose and her brow, and then she had the fake teeth and everything. So I was used to seeing her like that. She would start getting into makeup well before my call time even started. So she was already in prosthetics.
You weren't even there.
Yeah, I wasn't even there when she arrived, so I don't know what she looked like outside of makeup. And then, of course, at the end of the day, I just had to get my eyes makeup done, like off my face, and she had to sit in a chair and get the prosthetics off, so I was already gone before she got her prosthetics off. So the first time I saw her face was at like the after Halloween party that we Scareactors have. And she invited like the wolf girls over to her place to get into our costumes and hang out beforehand. And she answers the door when I arrive, and I go, "Is that your nose? Oh my god! Like, I had no idea. Is that you?
It's so human.
Whoa!
It's so normal.
I didn't suspect it to be so like small and dainty and cute. Oh my god, you're gorgeous. Not that you weren't
you're used
before.
to the prosthetic nose with like the hair and like it's bigger and like
It had like the wrinkles for like a muzzle, on it. And it was just like stretched out like this. I was like, oh my god, is that what you look like?
It's so funny because it goes back to like recognizing that our fellow scare actors are people too, and you're just like, oh, I don't know what a lot of these guys look like without all of this, or without like black stuff on their eyes, or like whatever it is. So
it's like
that
getting
is
a new
exciting.
job in 2020 and everyone's wearing masks and you don't see them without the mask for ever.
Yeah. And you don't know what they look like.
Like, I work in an office now, and during the whole interview process and like working in an office with other people, we are required to wear masks because of the condition we're in, the mess. And the only time I ever saw them without their mask was when we were on Zoom calls together, and I remember thinking, is that what she looks like? Interesting, because the mask covers this much.
It's like Batman. Yeah, it's like, okay, so this is what I look like as Batman.
And you try and fill in the blanks, but it's never 100% accurate. And you're going, oh,
well, even if they're not wearing prosthetics, if they have like the ski mask on and all you can see is their eyes, and you're like, oh, who is that person? And if they have enough makeup on, like sometimes you can't even tell like what their skin color is, and it's like, I don't know who that person is. Like,
Like,
they're
I have
cool, they're
no
great,
idea.
their name might be this, but yeah.
Like, I know
It's-
your
and it's
name and I
weird
know
that,
your
like,
eyes, and that's it. It's like in Beauty and the Beast when the Beast transforms and she's like, give me a sec.
who
Oh,
Who
those
are you?
eyes. It is you. It's the same thing for scare actors. Like,
Right.
hold on, give me a sec. Oh, it is you. Okay, yeah. I know
or like
that
if
now.
there's like a move or something that they do like as a scare actor that you know, like a signature like motion or something, you're like, oh yeah, you're that guy who does that thing. Okay, great, now we're on the same page.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely
it's-
comes down to body mannerisms a lot too, because when you go through, I went through as a guest in 2019, as I mentioned. That was the first time going through, but I already established friendships with a lot of people. So I messaged them in the Facebook group saying, hey, if you see me, scare me, say hi, whatever. I give you consent to like boop my nose to let me know I know you. I won't report you or anything. That's fine. And I go through, and sure enough, a lot of people jumped out and hovered around me and like stared at me and like made it clear that they knew who I was. It was in that moment that I realized I didn't know who they were. So
that's a little intimidating. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that. Like if I go through as a guest and I just be like, you know, hey guys, like if you know me, like make it known, like do something fun or clever or like, and then they're just like, they jump out for their scare and then they're just they just like stare at you.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
hi,
really-
oh, I probably know you, don't I? And they don't like move at all. They don't say anything. Like, okay, bye. And then just, you know, boop. Like, yep, yeah.
one still walker booped me.
I hope I know that person because otherwise that's just really weird.
I know, I just kind of went with it. I'm like, I hope they know me. I don't want to think about if they don't. You know, like just pretend they do, go along with it. Quite a few of them like stalked me, and I would turn to them and be like, do I know you? I go, like, great, message me later on Facebook. I don't know who you
And
are.
they can't talk.
And then they never did. They never messaged me. I still don't know who they are. There was one stilt walker in the Pandora's Box maze that jumped out.
That was fun.
That's a fun maze. I
maze.
really wish they would do more original ideas like that, because that was brilliant.
Well, just the UV light with the costumes and the black art, and like it's like a black background, but then a skeleton comes to life, and you're like, oh, how did they do it?
And then the fact that like
great.
there are people moving in the dark, and I love that. I love that effect, because I did not expect that. Like I go into a room, the lights completely black out, you can't see anything in front of your face, and then the lights come back on, and poof, there's a scare actor right in front of your face.
And it's like, wait, how did they move? How did they know where I was? Or yeah.
I actually
Really
used to
cool
scare
stuff.
in the dark at another place, so I know the technique of moving in it. I just, for some reason, didn't expect it to happen to me, and I'm like, whoa, oh, is that what that feels
That's
like?
cool.
Not sorry, that was great. But the stilt walker was blended into the wall, steps out from it, so that initially freaked me out, because I was like, I didn't know you were there, and then you're taller than me, and not a lot of stuff is taller than me, and that freaks me out just all the time. He leans down, and he like, I can't remember if he pats my head or like boops my nose or something, but he did something like that, and I just look up at him like, do I know you? He's like, yeah. Cool. Bye.
Like, okay, you got me. Bye.
What else do I do? I don't know you.
Exactly.
Oh, let's see, Carlos. I never knew what the half-transformed wolfmen in Kyle and I's maze looked like without makeup. It's really awkward to not know what people look like.
They get there like 2 hours before you do, because they have to sit in a chair and get all the prosthetics applied and the makeup and the airbrush and the wig and the hair pieces like on the sideburns, whatever it is, and then the mouthpiece, the teeth, which affects their voice, so you don't even know what they actually talk like because they can't close their mouth all the way.
You know what's cool? The wolf girls, the half-transformed wolf girls who had those mouthpieces, got to keep them.
Oh wow!
So they have.
I mean, that makes
I'm
sense.
jealous.
Though. I don't think they'd want to reuse.
Well,
those.
it was fitted to their teeth specifically, and also it was in someone's mouth, and we all know that that's dangerous now. Carlos, do you guys have any sweat stories? Is he referencing something in particular that he knows about you? That is very specific.
Sweets or sweat story? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Sweat stories. I have one. If that's what you're referencing, is mine. So my costume was not breathable in the head or the gloves.
Like physically sweating. I'm like, is this a metaphor for
sweat
something?
stories? Oh, that was a close one kind of story. Or like physical. I'm going to take it as physical sweat, because I actually have a story like this that I've said before in my streams. But this is disgusting to say, but it's hilarious to me. My gloves were very hard plastic, like I said, and all the time, I was sweating, I was moving, I was working out, right? Sweat would pool in the tips of the gloves. because they were
Okay.
longer than my natural nails.
Right.
And so every so often I would roar to the sky, just do this big epic roar like that. And one time someone in my zone asked me, like, why do you do that? That's so cool that you do that, like, in character. Like, what sparks that? I'm like, whenever sweat pools in my gloves, that's me trying to get the sweat out, like, in character.
That is funny, but that sounds horrible.
It was so gross because it would start sloshing around. I'm like, gross!
I'm glad I've had relatively breathable costumes. I think the hardest one was the ghoul mask in 2018 because that's latex, and so it's like form fitted to your face.
And
so
then
you're
you
like, there's nowhere
sweat,
for
and
this-
it just like traps the sweat in,
it just
and you
stays
get
there.
hot,
Yeah.
and
So you take the mask off, and you don't know why, but you're just like wet, and your hair is wet, and the mask is wet, and you're just like, oxygen. Like, I need to breathe.
air, please. Yeah,
And I do like their giant industrial fans in like the break spaces where it's just like,
that's
oh,
nice.
there's wind.
Just
I love
stand
that.
in front of it and go.
It's so refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't, had the pleasure of experiencing pools of sweat in any costumes or anything like
It's quite
that.
an experience. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say it's a
I can-
positive one, but it's an experience.
But it's an experience.
It's something that I remember. Yay, that's in my brain forever. Carlos, I think that's only a me thing because I sweat so much. I have multiple stories of soaking people when scaring them. Ew! Carlos!
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's kosher in 2021 if we can like
no,
sweat on
no.
people.
Yeah, no,
This is what the plexiglass will be for. If there's plexiglass between you and a guest, like they can't spit on me, we can't sweat on them. There you go.
I don't know if they have the forethought to do that because I don't think they think that we sweat. To get back to the original story that I mentioned before of like not being able to pee, I always say costumes needs to have someone on their team wear the costumes just a little bit for just 20 minutes and think, can they breathe? Can they move? Can they get out to pee in this?
Right.
Because we have basic
simple.
functions that sometimes they forget about. And, costumes is amazing at what they do, but it is easy to forget
because
those
it
things.
looks good. The point of it is to like
It
look
looks like a costume from a movie.
photoreal, yeah.
Great, but then
Right.
they forget that we have to actually move in these for hours at a time, days in a row, and it's a lot. So I got my leotard with the long sleeve leotard with wolf fur on it. And then I had a dress that attached to a button up here so that it would stay in place. And then boots. And of course
with
the
the
head.
boots and the fur and
Boots and the fur. The whole park was looking at her. I don't know. Boy, were they backstage when I did this. So because it was a lot of fur, they couldn't put a zipper in. Instead, what they did was a bunch of hook and eyes that would go all the way down my back. So
which
I needed.
if you're wearing gloves, like you can't.
Well, I could take the gloves off. I would take the gloves off during my break,
you
and
can take one off.
the head
Okay.
and the gloves would come off during my break. So I was left with just the leotard and the dress. And the dress I could take off. That's fine because I had shorts underneath that too. But yeah, whenever I was on break, I always needed to pee because I was drinking so much water and Gatorade and working out so much that I just needed to go. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Every single break, like I try, even if I don't feel like I have to, I will put myself into like a bathroom or a porta potty, like whatever is available. Like I will go to it because it's the worst thing to be on set and like
Yes.
not be able to do anything about that.
Exactly. So I would go every single break, but I would need someone to help me get out of costume by undoing all my hook and eyes. And then the only way out of costume was to strip it off completely. So I was like completely naked on the toilet and just go. And since I was sweating, it was really hard to pull that leotard back on. And it would cause me to bald a little bit because some of the hair would be pulled out doing this move all the time. And then I'd have to go back and have someone get all the hook and eyes back on. And by the time I'm done with all this, my break is over and I have to go back. So I don't really have a break. So the first 2 weeks of this whole thing, whenever costumes would come backstage for our zone, they would always ask, okay, are there any costume issues that we need fixed? Any buttons that need to be sewn back on? Any tears that need to be repaired? All that stuff. I would go up to them every single time and I would flash them. I would lift up my dress and go, I can't pee! Like that. And then I would explain to them why I did that. But I always got to have the wow factor. Just
Right.
I can't.
It has to be theatrical. You have to be memorable. The image has to stick in their minds so they remember to actually do something about it.
Thank you. Yes, that was what I was totally going for.
Totally makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
So I was doing that, and finally, after 2 weeks, they finally put snaps down there, so I was able to just snap it off, go back. It took like 10 minutes rather than 30. It's much better, but it really. I don't get how they couldn't think that they need to pee at some point. We're drinking so much fluid.
They can just take the entire costume off and then go pee and then put the entire costume back on.
But then
that should only take 20 or 30 minutes.
It only takes an hour. Yeah, but they only have 30 minutes. Oh, it's fine. They can figure it out. But also, it was causing me to bald. It turned out that fabric they used for the leotard was the most expensive fabric they had, so they couldn't just remake it whenever we needed it. And don't know why they decided this. The fur on it was so fragile, the slightest tug, and it would be pulled out of the fabric. Just the slightest. They demonstrated
They do realize that you're like pushing up against crowds of people and like you're a wolf, right?
And also just like moving the costume and putting it on. And also it started with our arms, because to put the gloves on, we needed to roll it back, put the glove on, and then stretch it over the glove like that to try and make it as seamless as possible. So yeah, our arms started balding, and then they were yelling at us about it, and then our bodies started to bald too, because we had to like strip it completely off and put it back on to go pee every break. And then they were yelling at us about it, and we were like, give us a solution, because we're gonna keep doing this. You can't tell us not to pee. You can't tell us not to put on our gloves. What are you talking about?
Wild. I've been fortunate enough where like my underlayer is usually just like sweatpants or shorts, and then like the Under Armour t-shirt. And then whatever layers of costume I have on top of that. Like usually I'm good at just like maybe taking off like the costume pants or something and then just putting on a hoodie, and I'm usually like good to go. I can run around wherever.
Yeah.
But depending on like where I am, like where the bathrooms are, and then like where the food tent is and how many snacks I brought that night, sometimes it'd be like on a break, I have to plan it out. Like, okay, am I gonna go pee? Am I gonna take a rest on my little, yoga mat that I have out on the concrete? Or am I going to eat food? And I could pick one of those, and maybe two, like maybe I could like rest as I'm eating, but usually I could only pick one per break. So I had to like schedule my pee breaks and like pace myself with the water, and like you really learn a lot about your body and the cycles and your internal clock, so to speak.
Absolutely. Like scare acting, it's a big adjustment regardless. Like even if you've been scaring for years, it's not a year-long thing unless you're lucky enough to have a year-long job like that, but it's usually seasonal. So you have to adjust again, and your body has to adjust every time. So it takes time. Carlos, I just love when costumes decides it's a good idea to make one-eyed masks. Were you one of those? Because I remember, I think it was, Wolfman versus Frankenstein. Was it Frankenstein meets the Wolfman? And I went through, and I could have sworn it was that maze where I saw someone had a one-eyed mask.
There was and I think it was Igor had one eye, and there was maybe one of the Frankensteins, but no, because usually, actually all the Frankensteins had like one like kind of grayed out eye, and then one that they could actually like see through more clearly. So it was lopsided because of his face was burned or something, right? That was part of the story.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so it wasn't fun for them apparently. And then all the wolf costume masks had the same problem that you were explaining with like their little slits, and it's away from your face, and you have no peripherals. But I guess being in a maze is different because there are like walls and hides and like places to be when you're not in front of guests, but you're still on set. You're still scaring. It's so funny. My hide to get to where I was in that maze, I had to go through my own little maze to like get to my spot. It wasn't just like on the outside, like on a border, like on an outside wall or something. I had to go in through the exit, make sure there weren't any guests there, and then false wall, secret tunnel, climb up a little flight of steps across the platform, and the whole time I'm like tapping Wolfmen and Frankensteins as I'm going along to make sure they don't like run into me, because they can't see me as they're doing their scare. So I'm walking past them through all these tunnels and then down a platform, and I have to duck at one point, otherwise the people in line are going to see me. So I have to like walk down I have to walk down like 3 stairs in the dark while I'm ducking, and then usually it's only at that point that I'll put my mask on, because I couldn't see otherwise. It's too dark back there. Then I put my mask on and jump up into the hide, which is like right in the middle of the maze. But from when you're in the maze, it just looks like everything's where it's supposed to be. Meanwhile, like some of the actors have to go through different mazes and cross the guest path. Like when there's no guests, we have to be like, okay, go. And like we'll look and make sure there's no guests, and then like run across the tunnel and like push, pieces of the set that are actually like walls and doors you would never know because it just blends in so well. Like it was wild. Like it was fun for me to like have access to all that, but also I'm like, this could have been designed a bit better for the actors. I will say,
just a little. They don't think about that because we are willing to do what it takes.
But if it's a nonstop traffic stream of guests, then I physically cannot get to one of my hides because I have to cross the guest path in the middle of the maze to actually get into my spot to scare people. God. So
did that happen?
That happened a couple times, but luckily I got to stand next to a Frankenstein who had a monitor. So he had a camera on the room that I had to like walk through to get to my spot. So I could make sure that the room was empty before I went to my little hidey hole.
Or at least there's that.
So that was very convenient. And it was very helpful, but at the same time,
exhausting.
but coming from the other way, I didn't have that. So I just had to guess that there's like no guests coming through, and make sure I don't get like my toes run over by a wheelchair coming in through. Like who knows?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh yeah. Oh man. That's exhausting.
It was exciting.
Oh
yeah.
God.
So even getting to my hide, I had to go through my own little maze, which involved going through half of the maze backwards, which, it was fun.
Whew.
It was fun.
My goodness. Carlos, in 2018, I had a mask in Bloomhouse where I was a teenage killed with a knife in my eye. The mask only had one eye hole. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Well, and there's also a prop knife sticking out of your face, so you can't like whack people with that because it's like
yeah, and like depth perception. It's like, where does this end? I don't know. I had the same issue with depth perception with my muzzle for my mask. I accidentally not knocked people. Like I did accidentally touch them a little bit with the nose. Not enough for them to complain about it or probably even feel it, but I felt it because I feel things.
You get really good at like knowing where your arm like ends. Like how fast can you do this without like knocking someone's glasses off their face, right? Like where can you go?
Right. If it was my hands,
you learn a lot of that.
I can work with my hands and I know where they can stop and pull back and everything. But when I'm wearing a mask and I'm not used to it
when
yet,
it's your nose
and it's like my eyes are here and I want to go raw at them, and then oops, I accidentally knocked them with my mouth. My bad. Oopsie poopsie. But yeah, we are human. We make mistakes. I got cussed out by some Karens because I accidentally knocked their water bottle out of their hand, but it was a plastic water bottle with the lid still on, so I don't understand the big problem.
SWAT team.
It's like
just swatted out of their hand.
It's like, I'm a big wolf. I can't see, breathe, or hear anything. It's toward the end of the night. I'm tired, so I'm gonna get a little bit less precise with my movement. It's a big crowd, and I need to move around in it. I'm sorry, my dress caught on to your water bottle. I can't feel my dress. That's not a part of my body.
If you were like a normal guest and that happened, like you would just say, oops, sorry, and then you'd like move on, right? But because we can't talk and maybe you don't even know that it happened, like it comes across as like, maybe to them, like we did it on purpose, or like it's part of our scare, or like sometimes we just don't even know these things happen and people get angry at us for no reason because we can't see sometimes.
They called security on me.
Oh my God. Well, the earplugs as well. I don't know, like in your zone, if you're wearing earplugs.
Oh, I'm absolutely wearing earplugs no matter where I am. I don't want to damage my hearing because it's loud. It's very loud. But yeah, they called security on me, who flagged me down. And then she was like, you did this on purpose for a scare. And I was like, I did that.
Who are you? What's going on? I don't know
you.
What
happened? Oh, was that the tug on my dress? I thought I just, accidentally bumped into someone, but I didn't see who. So I'm sorry that I dropped your... What about, like, it was that point where I had to drop character to apologize because security is talking to me right now. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm tired. I didn't feel it because it seemed to have caught onto my dress. I didn't realize I knocked something out of your hand. I'm sorry. They seem to understand, though. They calmed down after that. They're like, okay, that makes sense.
Well, again, it's because they recognize that, oh, you're a person. You're not just a wolf I can yell at.
Like, it's just human error. I'm sorry. Like, it happens, but... I didn't mean to touch you, and it's crowded, and I said my piece and I apologized, and they apparently they had just been having a bad day, and they were kind of taking out on me, and they did apologize. So thank God they did that, and they ended up being decent people about it. But that's not always going to happen. I get a lot of people just being like, you did this on purpose, and so I'm going to push you down for it. Okay. That's a logical conclusion. Thank you.
Is this how you deal with problems in your everyday life? I'm curious what kind of like person you are at parties, you know? Like how does this
You're not
translate
invited to my birthday party now.
Right. Like is this how you just solve like you're at work and like someone annoys you, so you like push them over, or you spit on them, or you like yell it in their face? Like is this how you deal with problems in real life?
I just had a picture in my mind of this like guy working at an office. He's at a water cooler. He tries to pour it, but it's an empty water cooler. He goes, "Ah, bitch!" And then he like punches someone right next to it, and they're like, "Ah, why?" He's like, "'Cause this."
It's like because there's no water.
Because there's no water.
Angry. This is how I deal with problems, is I take my aggression out on others.
Like, I imagine him full on pushing a pregnant woman, like, God damn this inconvenience! Push! I was like, oh my God, why?
That's what it feels like if they shove us for literally no reason. Or it's always funny to me, like, if I scare someone else and then, like, someone gets angry at me on their behalf, where they're like, hey, don't scare my kid, don't scare my friend, don't scare my girlfriend. I'm like, that's my job. That's why we're here. That's what I'm going to do. And now that you told me not to, I'm going to try even harder and like actually target them, because you put a target on their back by saying, oh, this person is more vulnerable and is going to be more scared because I'm trying to defend them, and don't scare them. Like, don't come to Horror Nights and walk through my maze, because I'm going to scare you. I'm going to do my best to scare you. Like if I do or don't, it doesn't matter. That's up to you. But like, I'm going to do my best to scare you. And it always baffles me when parents walk through and they're like, don't scare my kid. I just want to say back, don't pay money to come to Horror Nights and walk in front of me when I'm in a skeleton costume.
Exactly. Like, you came to a scaring event. What do you think is going to happen? Everyone's fair game at that point. Also, when I was working on the USS Hornet in Alameda, California, up in NorCal, that was my first haunt. And I was just one day I was playing this like secretary character, and I had to like play with a phone, and I had to just figure out how to do that and make it scary. But this one asshole came up to me, and I was not having it that day. And I was allowed to speak at this event. That's why I wanted to say what it was. And he comes up to me and he just puts his hands on the desk and goes, I'm not scared of you. And so I went back. I was on the phone and I was like, hang up. I get paid by the hour, not by the scare. Move on.
Oh, that is perfect. That is like the best response I've ever heard to that. Now I just gotta say that in my head every time someone says, you're not scary. I'm like, well, I'm glad everyone else thinks so, because it's like that. I'm still getting paid whether you like it or not.
Exactly. And I wanted to say that so many times in Halloween Horror Nights, because that was like my go-to response whenever people are like, you're not scary. I'm like, I paid by the hour. Bye.
Talk to the hand.
But there was one time where some girl, clearly drunk and underage, came through our zone, and it was a dead day. We had barely any scare actors out there. I think there was like 3 or 4 of us out there, and there were no guests in our zone at this time. She comes through with her friend or something, and I didn't even try and scare her at this point. I just turned around and I see her, and she stops. She's like, you're not scary. I go back. I'm like, oh, that's my response. And then her friend's already like out of the zone. They kept walking, and I was kind of following her because there's nothing else to do. There's no one else here. So she goes around. Halfway through the zone, she turns around and yells at all of us and goes, none of you are scary. And like a hive mind, at the same time, we all looked at each other, had the same thought, and started slow clapping.
Yeah.
And walking her out of the zone. We were just following her going,
I thought you were all just gonna like converge and like go towards her. Yeah.
That would have been funny, but for some reason we all had the same thought to be like, bravo, you called us out. We're not scary. Good job.
You've revealed our secret. The magic is no longer alive.
Oh no, what are we? Oh, our egos. Oh no. My self-esteem, it hurts. Some underage drunk girl called me not scary. So I walk her out of the zone, and we're like, hey, that was really funny what we just did. And I went to security and reported her for underage drinking.
Yeah. I'm like, that's the next step for sure.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. Carlos, you should have dialed the phone and said, "Hello, yes, I would like to speak to whoever asked for his opinion." Oh, that's really, I wish I thought of that.
That's good too.
That's really good. Oh, that's really good. All right, so we are well over our time. I'm so sorry for taking up so much more of your time, but I hope you've been having fun. Kyle, do you have any advice for scare actors that are new to scare acting?
Don't give up after the first 2 weeks. That's something that I had to tell myself 2 weeks into my first time at Universal, because I was like, oh, this is like physically more demanding than I expected. The guests are ruder than I thought. Like there's a lot of stuff happening. Like I don't know if like I'm being watched over. Like I need to know how to take care of myself. Am I eating right? So give it 2 weeks at least and try to make friends and try to like you come up with your scares and what you're going to do and then try to simplify. Try to like step back a little bit and figure out like, okay, how can I do this more effectively? Like how can I make a better scare using less effort on my body? Like what's less taxing? Do I need to bend my knee? Do I need to use my elbow? Like you could consciously think about it the first time you're doing it, because you want to test your limits, but then find those limits and then kind of back off them. Because if you're, at your limits every night, you're going to burn out, and that's not good.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Yes.
Yeah, definitely pace yourself and only do what you think you can maintain for like up to an hour. Like, I don't know, different people have different set times, but if you can do something for up to an hour and you can, that's good. But like, don't quit after the first 2 weeks, because that's when everyone quits. So,
yeah. If it's really not for you, okay, but
yeah, well, you'll know, you'll get it. But if you really want to keep doing it, like, make friends, talk to people. If something's not working, try to figure it out with your supervisor. Like we're all a team. Everyone wants it to work. So if something isn't working, like we've been talking about costumes and guests and security and problems and all sorts of things. Make it as comfortable for you as you can. And if it's tough, then that means you're working hard. So that's a good thing. And then once you get over that little hump, then just try to have fun. Just like any aggression from the day or relationships or whatever it is, just like put that all out on the table. And that's where the aggression comes from. That's the anger. It's kind of method, I know, but it's just like, oh, this crazy lady at work was like cussing me out on the phone. Like that's the kind of the mentality that I get into, with if there's something that's happening in my personal life, I'll kind of throw it right into my scares. But yeah, I definitely say like, you'll know if it's not for you, but if you really want to do it, stick with it, because it's so rewarding. And it's a really tight family unit. If you get in with a good team of people and you're all like working together, you learn so much about people you would never normally interact with too. Like, I mean, I've met so many people just these past few years that I'm still great friends with. I'm actually about to catch a late night drink with a buddy of mine.
Nice.
who's a scare actor as well. So like you make yeah, maybe, I don't know,
maybe
but you make lasting friendships, and that's like a really cool thing about it. So like stick with it if you want to do it, and definitely pace yourself. Like those are my top tips.
Oh, fantastic tips. Absolutely. And the thing about like bring the anger into the role a little bit, it's therapeutic, and that's why we do it. Absolutely. But I've actually been affected on a set, and the beauty of wearing a really big mask that isn't tight to your face is that I could laugh at people, I could cry, I could scream. People, I mean, they'll hear the scream probably if it's really that loud, but overall, they won't know what's going on inside the mask. There were a couple times where I was either physically hurt or just so frustrated at something that I was full on sobbing in my mask, and I had to work through the rest of my set like that.
And they don't know. They can't see it.
And they don't know. So I'm full on sobbing in my mask going,
and it still works, because
and it worked even better.
Of it.
It worked
the
even
physicality of it is so primal that like you can kind of get out of your head and your anxiety and your thoughts, where you're just like, oh, am I doing this right? Or, oh, did I label that thing? It's not like you're not constantly thinking like a job, like numbers and like memorizing people's names. Like it gets very down to like this primal sense of like, fight or flight, back to using your body to affect other people. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and you can do that whether you're like over the moon and you're having a great time, or you're just like not really feeling it that night, and you can still be physical and still do the job and like get it done. And
well, so that's part of the professionalism too, is like, can you put in great work even when you're not feeling it? And maybe you'll start to feel it. Fake it till you make it. And like I said, the screams are our applause, so it kind of fuels us. Maybe you'll get a really good scare, and then you'll really get into it the rest of the set. So great advice. Yeah, definitely pace yourself and give it those first 2 weeks. Get through that fatigue. If you really don't think it's for you, then you could quit. But if it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just so tired, push through the first 2 weeks. Your body's still adjusting.
Because everyone's so tired. Like that's even the
We're all
pros are
tired,
like, oh,
yeah.
I forget that this is taxing and this is tiring. And yeah, great. But like you get into it and it'll be more fun. It'll be less tiring. Your body will adapt. Your sleep schedule will align. Like it'll work out. It'll be fun.
Yeah. You just have to adjust. It takes some time. But yeah, thanks so much for being here, Kyle. Would you like to take some time to promote anything?
Not anything specifically. Unfortunately, I'm under NDAs for a lot of projects I'm currently working on. But I've been I think I can say I've been working on the SWAT TV show.
Ooh.
So like part of the music team for that, doing some orchestrations there, which has been awesome. So check that out if you guys can stream it somewhere. I don't know. I don't think my name's going to be on it, but that's kind of the nature of a lot of my projects is I'll either get money or I'll get credit, but sometimes not both.
Right.
And then I'm also doing like library music for other TV shows and stuff. So basically whatever's current is going to be on my SoundCloud or on my website. You guys can check out those links again.
They're right below his box here. I'm like trying to point and it's just not working.
I don't know.
It's
where
under
it is.
here.
the digital stratosphere, whatever.
It's just underneath him. Go there.
It is exciting to be kind of working in the music industry in LA and like all the films and TV stuff that I get to work on. But unfortunately, I just can't talk about anything right now because I'm under NDA, which means non-disclosure agreement for those who aren't in the industry. It means I'm not legally allowed to mention what the project is, the duration, if the payment, like the credit. I can't legally talk about that in any public forum, or I shouldn't talk about it to anyone, basically.
Yeah.
Just because it's like a liability because the project hasn't been released yet. So if things change and then I say, oh, I'm doing this thing, and then it doesn't happen, then like I don't look good. The company doesn't look good. So.
And also, like, they may not want to reveal that information because it might end up being a twist or something. Like, we're not allowed. We signed an NDA for Horror Nights. We're not allowed to say what characters we are during the run. We have to wait until after the run is done.
And backstage photos is like a big thing too. So right?
Yeah, no backstage photos, and that's why I can't share any of the. Everyone asks like, can I see pictures of your scare characters? Well, I didn't know that I'd get known for scare acting, so I didn't think ahead, and now I'm kicking myself for it. But all my photos of my characters were backstage, and I just had a friend take a photo real quick, so I can't show those. But after the run is done, we're allowed to share it because the run is done, and we're not that character anymore.
Well, I've never posted any like backstage pictures, but if there's like a nondescript like black wall or like a brick wall,
that's
or
fine,
something,
as long as it's not identifiable as the backstage.
If it could be anywhere, then like I have a few pictures of my costumes I've shared. But as far as music projects go, there are some exciting things around the corner in the works. That's all I can say. If you want to check out my my IMDb page as well, that's like Kyle J. Hartman or something. Like it's easily searchable. I'm the guy with the baton, and I'm conducting an orchestra in my photo. So
cool.
That's exciting. But yeah, so hopefully those credits will update as I get more projects, so you'll see like what's current on there. But yeah, it's unfortunate I can't say specifically what I'm working on like right this moment, which is
that's fine.
Really awesome stuff. But yeah, I mean, hopefully like my name will be on it, so you'll see it eventually.
I'll definitely be looking. Feel free to hit me up whenever it's like public knowledge. Yeah, so we're not allowed to share anything unless it's already public knowledge. Like we can't say, oh, I work this maze, and the maze hasn't been revealed yet. That goes against contract. But if the maze is revealed, then we could say, oh yeah, this maze will be here because it's already public knowledge. So when it's public knowledge and you could reveal that you worked on a project, please let me know. I want to look up your name on IMDb and all that, and
I absolutely
check out
will.
Your name. Yeah,
and maybe we can like update the description or whatever. Just, like, give people an opportunity to check it out as well if they're interested. I don't know. I've never like promoted myself like this before.
I always tell people give them the option to say no. Because if you don't reveal the information, then how are they supposed to know the information? But if you give them the information, there's a chance that they might want it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you can listen to the stuff that I've already done, and hopefully the credits will be updating as projects start coming out. So I'm basically always working, but whatever credit I have is usually like 7 or 8 months behind. Like, I did that project 7 or 8 months ago, even if it's at the top of my credit list or whatever, because that's how these things work. Things, they're planned out far in advance. But I'm really excited for things that will hopefully come out. I think I can say this. Hopefully they're going to come out like next summer.
Okay.
So place your bets. Take a guess what I'm working on. I don't know. But that's exciting. I have some fun projects on a great team of musicians that I'm working with, friends in LA, on like film music and TV projects and exciting stuff going on there.
That is exciting. That's really cool. I'm so glad you get to live that dream. But yeah, check out his SoundCloud and his website if you're interested in whatever he's up to right below him. And then if you don't mind, I will take a minute to promote my stuff too, if you are completed.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. All my socials are underneath me. It's charge_and_die for everything now. I think I also changed my YouTube, so I need to update that. But you could search for me on all those things, Charge and Die. I go live here on Twitch a few days out of the week. Next stream is going to be tomorrow, Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific time for Skyrim Sunday, where my D&D dice make all the decisions for me. Other than that, I am currently recording, not currently as in this moment, but I did earlier today record Resident Evil 8 playthroughs. I will be editing that and updating my YouTube with that. So subscribe to my YouTube if you're not already subscribed. TikTok, I'm posting more frequently now, so follow me on TikTok if you don't do so already there. Instagram, Discord for stream updates. If anything needs to be postponed or canceled, I'm going to post to Instagram and Discord for those. So be sure to follow those if you are interested in any of my future streams. Yeah, I think those are all the things. I'm trying to keep it shorter. Carlos, one last question. Was there any character theme songs or playlists you would make that would get you in character? For me, The Animal by Disturbed always got me hyped to be the Wolf Man. That's a great question. And it's music related. So
interesting. Yeah. I don't think I'd have like a specific song I would go to. But I'd listen to a lot of like Eminem. And then I would switch to like EDM stuff to like just really get me pumped and hyped. And like, Eminem, because there's a lot of this like self-confidence and motivation stuff. And it's like this really raw, like, this is your moment. Like you can do this, and it's just really like gets you pumped up. And then the EDM stuff, just because like it reminds me that I'm at a party with all my friends and I'm just having a blast. And I could like just really get pumped up in it and get back to that primal energy with like a drum beat or something. So I don't have any specific songs, I don't think, that I put in a playlist, but those like types of music, like hip hop and rock and EDM and stuff that's just like heavy and bassy and tribal and like really hypes you up.
Like, amps you up a bit. Yeah. I would usually default to whatever playlist they'd be playing in our zone, because that was really heavy metal, awesome music. I forgot what the song was that we would listen to over and over again, but they would have a great playlist, very heavy metal and pump it up, maybe some EDM every once in a while. So that would always work well on set. But if I was on my break and I wanted to hype myself up for the next set, if I was a beast character, it's funny you mentioned Animal by Disturbed, because I would listen to Animal by Maroon 5 to get me in that character. If I was playing a female role in like Purge or something, or I had to be like a sexy female character in any way, I would listen to You Don't Own Me.
Nice. Because
it gets you in that alluring but like confident feeling. Let's see what else. If I was playing Crazy Clown, I would listen to like comedy music usually to amp me up. I don't know. I don't have specifics for Crazy Clown. Yeah, just anything really that gets me in the mood. It changes all the time, but hopefully those are good examples. But yeah, all right. Well, thanks so much for the questions, everyone, especially Carlos. You've been on it in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, especially going
thank you
well over the time that I originally said.
No worries. Thank you for having me. This has been just so fun. Like, we don't get to talk about this stuff nearly enough.
I know, that's why I do this, because I want to hear the stories and exchange stories. And most of my viewers have already heard all my stories, but I reiterate for my guests because we're just having fun chatting. I don't know. it's fun. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Be sure to follow me here if you don't do so already. Be sure to check out Kyle's music on SoundCloud and his website, like we said. And if you're interested in scare acting, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting more tips and tricks on how to get started, how to get through the season, how to be a character, make a character, all those fun things. It's going to have a lot of advice. Also on my TikTok, I'm going to break down all of those advices in different videos. So if you're interested in scare acting, those are going to be great resources for you. Otherwise, see you on Saturdays for Scareactor stories. Next stream is tomorrow for Skyrim. Bye, everybody!